we'll call the meeting to order for the afternoon of September 29th, 2020. Tony, would you please call the roll?
Jimenez, Peralez, Dieppe,
Present.
Carrasco, Davis,
Here.
Esparza,
Here.
Arenas,
Here.
Foley. Okay, here. And Foley's here. Camus,
Here.
Jones.
I'm here, Tony. Present.
Jones,
Present.
Liccardo.
Present.
And Tony, I'm here as well. I apologize.
Okay.
And Tony, this is Councilor Prowse. I'm here too. I'm having some speaker issues. I have to figure this out.
Okay.
Okay, we got a full house with a few bad devices. All right, if you're able to stand, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation, under God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Today's invocation will be delivered by Judy No, the president of U-Star Productions and La Raza Club at Overfelt High School. Councilmember Arenas will tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, today this is our last invocation. We are so sad. We love showcasing just the breadth and talent of District 8. And so today we are going to end with a bang, and it's part of our Overfelt High School's club. It's La Raza Club, and they're going to have a wonderful video, as well as Jody No from President of U-Star for putting together another wonderful video. And together you'll see what I'm talking about. This is part of our Mid-Autumn Moon Festival that we're going to miss over at Eastridge this year. But in lieu, I wanted to share with you that this upcoming Thursday, we'll have October 1st marks the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival, also known as Tetrunk 2. And so I hope that you all can celebrate and buy some moon cakes and fall back to this video. So please go ahead and begin the video. And lastly, I'm just going to say thank you to Principal Vito Chiala from Overfelt High School La Raza Club for showcasing today's talent. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much. Councilmember Reyes, did you want to add anything more?
Well, lastly, I just wanted to thank La Raza Club at Overfelt High School for putting this together. All that videography was them. And of course, their talent is theirs. And of course, Judy No from U-Star Production. I know that we are all very much yearning to come together, and dance and music are both elements that we all really cherish from each other's culture. So I look forward to doing that again.
Thank you. And thanks again to the students. I agree. Very, really great work. Excellent talent and a wonderful message for all of us. So thank you. All right, let's move on to orders of the day. Does anyone on the council have any changes to the printed agenda?
I do, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to not limit council member comment to 15 minutes.
Okay. Motion, Councilmember Esparza. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Councilmember Jimenez. Councilmember Esparza is referring to a motion that was approved at the Rules Committee for limitations of council comments and questions to 15 minutes per item. And I think this was in response to what I think we've all been enduring with the community over the last many weeks with difficulty in being able to hear from the community because of the very late hour in which all of these issues are being considered. Councilmember Jimenez, did you also want to speak on the timing of the items 4.1 through 4.3?
You know, I was originally going to talk about that, Mayor. I just, and I think since I seconded this, I guess I guess it's all tied into each other. So I understand the interest of limiting comment and things of that nature. Right? I know we have to move these meetings along, and folks are sitting on these calls for a very long time, and certainly limiting the comments for council members to 15 minutes is one way of doing it. I guess what came to mind for me is just when we hear some of these items and maybe making it a time certain, so that way some of these items that we know are going to garner a lot of public interest are heard sooner rather than later. I just think there's different ways to manage it to make sure that folks aren't on the call more than they need to be. And so that was my interest. And I think, this motion sort of brings about that conversation. But and again, I suspect today's meeting, for example, probably isn't going to go too long, I expect. So this is maybe more applicable to some of these longer meetings that I think we have evening session and such. And so I just wanted to say that, put that out there. I think there's different ways to potentially manage it. So some of the folks that were concerned about staying on the phone too long get to be heard much sooner than they unfortunately have been in the last few meetings.
Thank you. Councilmember Rennes?
Thank you, Mayor. I supported last week at the rules memo. I supported this, the 15-minute limit, and I want to explain to my colleagues because most of the time I'm not supportive of a limit. But last week we spent a good deal of time on 3.1, and I'm going to tell you, I think when we talk about 3.1, we talk about COVID-related matters that really impact the health and well-being of our residents. And I think that conversation probably could have been reduced, knowing that we had very important issues later in the agenda. And so in attempt to maybe balance out the conversation, because I think we go long in the beginning and then suddenly realize that we don't have much time. And I also last week sacrificed some of my time for anti-displacement because I wanted to make sure we met a deadline, a time deadline. I did want to speak on and add some questions, but I know that my colleagues who spoke did a really good job in asking some of the making some really good points and asking some questions that I also had. And so I just think it's a bit unbalanced when we don't measure ourselves right from the beginning and say, let's make sure that our comments are as short as they can be, but from the beginning of the meeting and not trying to catch up at the end.
Thank you. Councilmember Esparza?
Thank you, Mayor. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about why I feel I certainly sympathize. Being here until after midnight is no fun. But just a reminder that last week we ended closed session late, which made open session late. And we had significant discussions on 3.1 on the COVID report, and brought up some important items that addressed citywide issues that I know we're all hearing from all folks in the city. And so I certainly sympathize with that. And maybe, we look at opportunities to set things time certain, or all the tools that are available to us. But at the end of the day, it's our job to sit here and, with exception for the mayor, each one of us represents 1/10 of the city, and we can't all be here. Our residents can't all be here. And so we speak for them. And particularly the discussion we're going to have on 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3, the police items in front of us today, and we're hearing them concurrently, right? So we're hearing 3 items as one. And so to limit us to 15 minutes, and I'm not hoping to speak longer than 15 minutes, but to limit us to 15 minutes on a combination of 3 items doesn't seem right to me. And I think that because we each speak, except for the mayor who speaks for the whole city, because we each represent 1/10 of the city, we need to have the opportunity to ask those questions that our residents want to hear. Thank you.
Mr. Sparsley, can I ask you, would you feel any differently if we broke it up to 15 minutes for each of those 3 items?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be open to that. I think, we joke about the Pam Foley rule that we've taken in the past, and I think if we really try to commit ourselves to speaking for 15 minutes, but again, last time we had some police items come up, we spoke for a lot longer because these are really important issues. And so I'd be open to splitting them up, and that would give us each a maximum of 45 minutes to speak on those police items. I'd certainly be open to it. I think they're kind of combined for a reason because we ran into that a little bit last time. I would just be hopeful if myself and my colleagues could maybe, if we could just work really hard at not going on longer than we need to. But
Hey, Mayor, could I clarify for 1 moment? Our intention was only to hear 4.1 and 4.2 together, as is traditionally done every year on the annual report. 4.3 was intended to be a separate item. I just wanted to provide the council that information.
Right, and since the DII report tends to involve a relatively small number of instances, I imagine we could hear those 2 items together and then 4.3 separate, yeah.
So could we then make the, because I know we have a land use item, but for ourselves, I'm not sure that we have a lot of heavy discussion except for these 3 items. Could we split up 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3 for the purposes of 15 minutes of that limit?
I think the suggestion from Dave, or just the implication of Dave's suggestion, was that we would have 2 rather than 3 items. That 4.1 and 4.2 are really
So then,
right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
No problem. So 4.1 deals with complaints, 4.2 deals with DII. So we'd probably consider those 2 together, and then 4.3 would be considered separately. I think.
So for the purposes of a 15-minute limit, could we set then an exception for the combination of 4.1 and 4.2 and allow a maximum of 30 minutes for those 2 items, and for those 2/1 items, since we're combining them?
Okay, that's certainly an alternative you can propose in a motion if you want.
I'd be open to that. I mean, I'd like to hear from my colleagues. I do, I certainly have no intention to speaking longer than that today. I just think that these are really important items, and we should have discussion on them. That's all. I'd be open to that. If somebody wanted to make a friendly amendment, I'd be open to it.
Okay, Councilmember Pross?
Yeah, thank you. I agree. We've had this conversation a number of times now, and we've talked about trying to manage our own speaking time better. But at the same time, we are the only individuals, elected and representative of our districts that have an opportunity to speak without a time limit on these items. And I think that's really important, and that should be the last thing that we try to limit. If we haven't tried other means, things like time certain, could even be things like time checks, where we try to balance ourselves on knowing where the agenda is at, knowing what's remaining on the agenda. And so I think that's, it should be a last resort when we come in. I think I'm getting some feedback. Sorry. And so I think that's, I'm gonna call you out, DC Tyndall, and ask you to mute. Okay. So
Yeah.
So I just think it should be a last resort that we limit ourselves specifically to time. Some of these items are really important, and some of us can go in depth with the discussions. And I think additionally, through those discussions, sometimes we're prompting staff with lengthier responses, or prompting our colleagues to maybe, say for instance, you speak first, you use up your 15 minutes, and then the rest of the council speaks, and there was something in there that you wanted to be able to respond or reply to. When we time limit ourselves, we don't create that space and opportunity. So but I don't disagree that we don't want to continue to push these meetings to midnight or beyond midnight on a regular basis as we have been. So I would like to find some other means to try and get there. I recognize that it sounds like there may be a compromise of sorts for today when it comes to these two items that are combined, 4.1 and 4.2. I could support that. I think that's in the spirit of the direction from the Rules Committee anyways of last week. Correct, Mayor, you had said 15 minutes per agendized item. In this case, 4.1 and 4.2 are individually agendized items. We're just kind of hearing them together. So I think that a 30-minute, combo limit on those two being heard together is a nice compromise. I could support that today as well, but I really would like to see us try to find some other means to help manage these meetings and the length of these meetings versus just always going back to some arbitrary time limits on council members and the mayor speaking. Thanks.
Thank you. Look, I'm fine if that's the way we want to interpret that motion, would be 15 minutes per item. Because we don't have a particularly lengthy agenda, I think that's fine. And I know we don't want to spend an hour talking about this issue, but I just wanted to offer, I know there were suggestions that perhaps if we set things at a time certain, that would be better. We've been doing that, at least saying not before, and I know a time certain would be different. I'm not sure you get a different result, because what we're trying to do is make sure items are heard when people are when most likely to be home from work or away from working responsibilities, when they're particularly important. And so that means inevitably those items get pushed well into the evening. And that means there's a more constrained period of time for which the public can really hear and participate. So I just wanted to emphasize, I think we're here again, I think because there's a recognition that we're simply not, as human beings, terribly good regulators of ourselves. And one way we can regulate ourselves is to set rules for ourselves. And it's certainly not anything that is terribly new to the legislative process. After all, our friends and colleagues in the state assembly and the state senate and the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate all have time limits. In fact, time limits that are far more constrained than these. We're about to pick the next Supreme Court justice, a monumentally important decision for our country. And every one of those Senate Judiciary Committee members will be constrained more than we are in our time. So I know we think we have important decisions. I can assure you, you can get to answers in important issues, both by doing the research before we get to council, but also making sure we're focused in our questions. And I think we can all get there. I know many have insisted, well, we're the ones who are speaking for the public, but the truth is the public also speaks for themselves. And what we've seen time and time again is that we are constraining the amount of time the public has to speak because we are talking so long. I know we think it's important for everybody to hear us, but it's more important for us to hear from members of the public. And when members of the public have only 1 minute to speak because we have taken so long to speak ourselves, that is I think, a significant disservice to democracy. So I am supportive of time limits going forward. However we may interpret it, I think is subject to reasonable views about how we might do it. I'm happy to support a compromise, but I do think we need limits. And the same way that Ulysses discovered that was helpful for him to tie himself to the mast, I think we have to tie ourselves as well so we can get our work done. Councilmember Diep?
Yes, you mentioned a lot of things I wanted to say, but I think on this topic, I've vacillated back and forth on this as a general matter. I'm someone who doesn't think that council members should be limited in their time because we are the elected officials, and I do believe that I start from the premise that the public comment period is not the only time for the public to engage with the council. They get 1 or 2 minutes depending on the council meeting, but we do get their emails. They can ask to meet with us at City Hall in a previous era, but they still get to engage with us at community meetings and over Zoom. And so their only opportunity is not through the 1 or 2 minutes of public comment. However, I've kind of come around to this notion just as a practical matter. For the reasons that Mayor Liccardo stated, elected officials in a higher level than we do, than us at the city, also are conformed by limits. And I'm listening to my colleagues talk about time certain, and I'm trying to think, excuse me, I'm trying to think how this would work out practically. The idea of time certain is if we say this item will be heard exactly at 7 p.m., not before, that means if we're in the middle of something, debate, discussion on a previous topic, we're going to stop that and then move over to this new topic to meet the time certain requirement, hear it, and then maybe go back a few hours later and pick up where we left off. And that's one way of doing things, but I'm not sure that that's preferable since, we're splitting things up in our mind. And as the day wears on, we may not remember what exactly was going on and where we left off. So I do see some practical limitations in the time certain thing. What we've been doing is will be heard not before 5 p.m. or before 6 p.m. And then the public comes and they tune in at 6 thinking it will start at 6, but we're still just finishing orders of the day and breaking for dinner. And then we have the whole agenda before us, and then we don't get to the big ticket item that everyone wants to hear until 9, 10, 11 at night, at which point everyone is trying to rush, and we're limiting public comment to 1 minute each, which is not great for the public. And although I understand that they have other means of public commenting and engaging, I can certainly understand the frustration of somebody who's been sitting and watching a meeting for hours, waiting for their 1 or 2 minutes, and then only getting at the end. So I just put that out there, and I'm okay with the time limits because I recognize the only practical way to do it is to limit ourselves and be strict about it. Although I don't like the idea, I just don't see how we get around it, given the amount that the public tries to comment on some of these items. And we as council members sometimes on our own social media have encouraged people to come talk now, come post now, we're about to debate it. And we encourage the public comment and we encourage the flow of that and drawing the meetings longer. So I'll support this however the council feels, but I do think we should be more mindful, and it doesn't have to be 15 minutes to me. It could be longer, but we should be, there should be some mindfulness and perhaps even having some other rules about not ending at midnight and continuing on to the next day or something. But those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Councilmember Diep. Councilmember Camus.
Yes, I'm the one who made the motion in the Rules Committee, and the reason why I made the motion is because strictly because we have not been policing ourselves, and not. If I had $1 for every time I heard, "Let me restate this," or I don't want to be the dead horse, but so I have to say we're doing a horrible job policing ourselves. Many of the questions that, and could easily have been asked prior to the meeting or research prior. And so that's why I made the motion. I'm willing to go along with the compromise Councilmember Esparza mentioned, because that was the motion, 15 minutes per item that I made. And I think we should stick to it permanently. I don't see a reason why we have to even discuss it every week. But I am willing to accept Councilmember Maya's 15 minute, split the item, 15-minute per item, because that's the way I think I made the motion.
Okay, Councilmember Foley.
Thank you. But to be clear, the motion is not to limit ourselves to 15 minutes. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So there's no, so the motion, if it passes, is no time limit on our discussions.
Correct. I said that for today, I'd be open to a friendly amendment to combine 4.1 and 4.2 since they're already being combined to a 30-minute limit.
Okay. I appreciate the desire to limit our conversation, each council member to 15 minutes, and I would support a motion that limited to 15 minutes. I've said this before, I said it over a year ago, actually, and that's why it became the Foley Amendment, or however you want to call it, is that I frankly turn into a pumpkin around 10 o'clock. And that's because I get up really early and I stay, and I'm not a night owl. So when we are making really important decisions on anti-displacement last year, it feels like last year, it's very difficult to have a robust conversation because we're really tired. We've been in the case of last week, we've been in a council meeting from 9 o'clock until midnight, actually longer than that, with not the normal breaks that we normally have because things backed up longer than usual. And that makes it very difficult. I want to hear from the members of the public as much as I want to hear from my council colleagues. And frankly, I think we can get our work done in 15 minutes if we listen to each other and we respond and we're sensitive to the amount of time that we're taking. But truthfully, there are other ways that we can manage this meeting too, and they are limiting the length of presentations made by staff. Staff takes a lot of time putting together presentations, which are really good, but at times they go on too long. So that's one way we could limit the discussion. I want to talk about the time certain and the complications with time certain. As Councilmember Dieppe said, that if we say 3 o'clock, time certain we're going to discuss an item, then whatever we were discussing up until then has to stop at 3, which opens us up for rehashing the issue again when we bring it back to the table, which would then could potentially result in us extending the debate when we would have had the debate completed if we didn't have a time certain. There are other ways to do meeting management. I don't know that hashing it out here is the best way to do it, but clearly we're all sensitive to long meetings and how they are affecting us. But personally, I think it affects our decision-making skills if we are trying to make a decision on a really complicated issue at 11 o'clock and then rushing the decision because we don't have enough time to debate it fully because we're bumping up to our moratorium on meetings. In fact, 12 o'clock is probably too late for me anyway, but I'll stay with it as long as I possibly need to. With that, I'm finished, and I know the meeting motion hasn't been amended yet, and I'll leave that up to someone else to take care of that. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll take care of that. I'd like to make a friendly amendment to have us allotted 15 minutes for every item, including items 4.1 and 4.2.
So the combination of 4.1 and 4.2 would be 30. Is that correct?
Exactly. 15 minutes for every item.
That's right.
So I would be willing to accept that for today's meeting. I think, again, I mean, and so I accept it for today's meeting. I just want to say that it is important for us to deliberate in public. That yes, I do a lot of work before, like we all do a lot of work before the council meeting. We talk to staff, we talk to constituents, we talk to residents through the city. We all do all of those things, but it's important for the public, particularly on items like displacement or the protest after action report or the items that are before us today. It's important for the public to hear us deliberate. It is. And we're not Congress. We're we're the body that is closest to the residents of our city. And so, so I accept that, and I will endeavor to speak for 15 minutes or less on items, but I caution us that, you know, I hope that we can do a combination of tools that are available to us, and knowing that sometimes we are in a global pandemic, we have had a number of crises this year, and sometimes there are going to be challenges, and this is one of them. But I agree, I'd be open to a variety of tools, but I would caution us to choose expediency over transparency. Thank you, and I accept it.
Okay. Councilmember Rennes.
So I'm hoping that you would accept also another friendly amendment, Councilmember Esparza. I'm not going to change what our vice mayor has already proposed, but I would like to add, I know that our conversations can get long, and like we're seeing now, there could be a couple of motions or substitutes. And so I think if the council would accept just any reasonable request to ask questions, maybe not for purpose of statements, just for questions after a motion has been made, so that council member can clarify or any concerns that they have and be able to support it or not support the motion on the floor.
I'd accept that. I think it doesn't happen very often, but we've occasionally had a couple of motions and amendments. And I think last week we pretty much, for the most part, agreed on a lot of things because we were able to tack on amendments and have discussions and move an item forward. I'd accept that.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Kraska.
Thank you. So I just want some clarification because I'm a little confused as to whether the 15-minute limit is just for today or if this is a permanent council policy that we're voting on.
It says just for today on orders of the day.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that clarification. All right. I'm just going to leave it at that because, you know, the only concern that I have, council colleagues, is that, you know, I don't think I need to remind you that in some areas of our city, folks have, you know, the kind of savviness to get on council, express themselves. They have the time, they have the connection, you know, the connectivity to go ahead and weigh in. And as we've expressed and we've informed the council, many of us represent areas in the city that don't have residents that can go ahead and weigh in. And so we sometimes take up a little bit more time trying to express what's happening in corners of the city that don't have those kind of connections. And so in some of the issues that are going to impact individuals that are unable to connect with the rest of the council, I just request that we really take into account those days that if in fact we go a little bit beyond the pumpkin hour, Councilmember Foley, I get you because I'm up at the very early hours trying to get my kiddos connected to their schoolwork, and it's a heck of a day for me as well. That we institute the policy that we already have, which is to roll it over for the next day. And I know that that's a really tough thing to do. We've only done it a couple of times since I've been on city council. And we did so because, you know, working until 1 or 2 in the morning was just turning our brains into mush. And it was becoming very, very difficult to sort out the debate and the issues that were at hand. So, yeah, you know, if 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock is getting to be difficult, given that, you know, Zoom is very, very, it's very challenging for the brain. Our brains were not meant to sit in front of a light bulb for 16, 17, 18 hours. So if we need to move it back during those very difficult days, I say we consider that Maybe it's not today, but I say we think about it and we think about rolling it back to 10 p.m. maybe, and then we take it back up at 9 or 10 a.m. the following day. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. But I'll support the motion that's on the floor today because it's not a permanent 15-minute limit, not because I enjoy keeping entertained, but because I do think that it's important for those of us who need to speak up for the residents that can't connect and can't weigh in. We have to be able to express what our residents are unable to do so at times. Thank you.
Let's go to the public. Pierce? Pierce, you appear to be muted right now. If you could unmute your device. We can't hear you right now, Mr. or Ms. Pierce. Appears your device is still on mute. Please push the mute button. Okay, let's go to Blair Bakeman and we'll try to come back and see if Pierce can sort out the problems with the device.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for taking public comment at this time. I had I've spoken a few times now that it's been my feeling there could be the simple idea to have people speak for, say, a 20-minute time period, and then for each additional 5 minutes, have a motion process. And that could be a way to, it allows a certain set time, and then you can vote on an additional incremental 5 minutes afterwards. And I feel that allows both a straight time and then also a leeway, flexibility, and options if people need more time. And thank you very much for just simply offering public comment at this time. This during orders of the day, to have public comment for say a minute can probably accomplish a lot for people to explain their positions on this issue. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Calling user 1. I believe you can unmute your phone by pushing *6. We're still not able to hear you. It's *6, is that right, Henry? Okay, *6. We'll get you unmuted. Okay. All right. We're going to come back to council, and the motion, I believe, from Councilmember Esparza is to limit discussion to 15 minutes per individual item. Anything further on that motion, Councilmember Esparza?
Just with the clarification of Vice Mayor Jones' amendment that because we're hearing 4.1 and 4.2 together, then that maximum would be 30 minutes.
Right. Okay. All right. Anything further? All right. Let's vote. I'm sorry. Before I go there, and does that include all of the orders of the day in addition to your motion, Councilmember Esparza? Councilmember Esparza?
The orders of the day, yes.
Yes.
The consent.
Yeah. So no, not the consent. We're approving all the orders of the day.
Oh, yes.
You're
correct. Yes. Okay. And it includes the orders of the yes. Thank you.
All right.
Jimenez,
Aye.
Perales,
Aye.
Diep,
Aye.
Crosco,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. It just dawned on me after looking at the original order, we didn't even need a motion since that was apparently the original. So anyway, I'm glad we're affirming it. We'll go on to the closed session report. Nora, I believe we have an announcement. So let me start in. Perhaps, would you like to give the closed session report first and then I'll make the announcement?
Sure. There wasn't anything to report out of closed session for today.
Okay. I do want to announce, though, as we're releasing publicly to the community, I'm very pleased that the council's unanimously chosen Nora Freeman to serve as our city attorney. And Nora brings with her just an incredible wealth of experience here at the city as well as in private practice. And she has been in leadership position here for, I believe, 19 years, and just very grateful for all that she has done for the city, and I look forward to working with her in the years ahead. Nora, do you want to say anything in your own defense?
I just want to thank you, Mayor, and the council for the confidence in me, and I'll be learning a lot. And it's my honor to continue to serve San Jose. Thank you.
Thank you for your willingness to serve. Okay, we will move then to the consent calendar. Are there any items the council would like to pull? I'm not seeing any hands raised. We'll go to the public. I don't see any hands in the public. Mr. Beekman?
All right, thank you. Here we go. With item 2.7, as you've lined up a lawyer with hopefully good advice on the future of local community energy procurement issues, to note now is the time for new asks by local community energy across the entire SEP area for nuclear energy usage in the spring of 2021. Please consider how more renewable energy ideas, good democratic policies, humanistic care, and genuine positive sustainability are some of the initial good purposes of local community energy. To also offer, with Tessa speaking so often at public comment about positive environmental sustainability, and to speak of the consent calendar item on San Jose sponsored Beach Cleanup Day, a reminder that I hope that at the local level here in San Jose and across the Bay Area, we all want to continue the important work towards good humanistic positive examples of sustainability that have been started pre-COVID-19. In how to address COVID-19 in more positive, sustainable ways at this time, I would also simply like to thank what I hope can be the continual decent-minded thinking and good ideas and good work at the state level towards funding initiatives and the uses of the CARES and HEROES Acts. COVID-19 with its possible man-made designs is simply not our fault at the local level, and we shouldn't have to be held responsible for its burdens at the local level either. This is a deep and formal argument, debate how to decide the future of what exactly is positive sustainability and long-term social planning priorities as a future society. All the planners of COVID-19 must be held accountable and not allow this sort of practice to happen again. And at this point, accountability must include the United States, that by all accounts has probably had, in the very least, a very important secondary role in the development of COVID-19. It is from this, I hope we can all be patient, forgiving, and decent-minded, and learn how to graciously and properly accept many needed emergency utilitarian ideas that will be needed for the next few years, and to conclude without cutting off open, good communication skills, channels, and overall creative ideas of needed thinking with each other.
All right, back to the council. On the consent calendar, I will just note that 211 is a conflicts of interest code biannual update, which reminds me, I believe under the charter, we're actually probably due for a biannual ethics discussion. So Nora and the council, I think, will be talking about that in the weeks ahead as well. Nora, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we'll get that. We'll definitely work on getting that scheduled and set up.
Wonderful, thank you. A member of the public, I think, had just raised his hand or her hand and didn't get a chance to speak. JT? JT, did you want to speak on consent calendar? Your phone appears to be muted, or your device. There you go. We can hear you now.
So quick comment is, it's important for city council members to remember that they're actually doing a job. We get you have families, but you're here to do a job. And as long as you're getting paid from taxpayers, you need to stay, you need to not say things like, I prefer expediency over transparency. I hope to never hear a city council member say that again. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the council, Councilmember Peralta.
Thank you. I just wanted to check if I had to pull item 10.1 now, or is that going to be, are we going to convene for a, that'll come up later. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we'll get there. All right. on consent, let's vote.
I don't have a motion.
Oh, we need
Move to approve.
Yeah, I'll second it. And also, I'm going to take a point of privilege to correct that caller. I said that we don't choose expediency over transparency. Thank you.
Okay, the record is corrected. The motion is from Councilmember Jimenez. Let's vote.
Jimenez,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're on to the report of the city manager. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no report today.
All right, the Joint City of San Jose Council Financing Authority agenda is also included for today. I'll call to order the meeting, the Joint Council and Financing Authority. Item 1 is an amendment to certain agreements related to the interim financing program to finance capital improvements at the regional wastewater facility. There is no presentation on this item. We'll go to the public. I believe there are no hands. We'll come back to the council. Are there any questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. And now I said there was no presentation because that's what my notes say, but Dave, did I cut somebody off?
No, there's
No,
no.
Mayor, there's no presentation.
Okay. All right, let's vote on the motion.
Jimenez,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, we'll adjourn the Joint City Financing Authority meeting. Boy, wouldn't it be great if all of our meetings were so fast? And on to item 3.3, the temporary expansion of the business tax financial hardship exemptions. Again, there's no presentation on this item.
There is a presentation, Mayor.
There
This
is.
Julia
I
Cooper.
lied.
So I have Rick Bruno with me, who's the Deputy Director over Revenue Management. We have a very short presentation.
Great.
So we just wanted to bring forward to you a temporary expansion of the business tax financial hardship exemptions in light of COVID. And we just think that this will help provide some relief to businesses that are experiencing financial hardships, broaden the existing hardship exemption criteria so potentially more businesses can qualify, to ease the restrictions and pre-qualifying for those financial hardships, and then also lengthen any repayment terms if somebody needs to spread their tax out over a longer period of time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rick, and he'll kind of walk through some of the core details of the proposal.
Thank you, Julia. Just to start off with some background information on our business tax program. It was first adopted in 1964. More recently, there was a modernization of the business tax that came forward to the voters in 2016 and was approved. Currently, there are approximately 95,000 businesses that are registered with the city. Of that, 21,000 are approved for an exemption. And I'll note that of those 21,000 approved exemptions, the overwhelming majority of them, being 15,000 of them, are exempt for financial hardship reasons. Going into the current year, we anticipated a revenue reduction due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact on businesses. And so here you can see that we had an 8% reduction from last year's estimate to this year's adopted budget. I will also mention that the 21,000 approved exemptions accounts for between $4 and $5 million of revenue that's foregone because of those exemptions. So to provide a little bit of background on our existing financial hardship program, the city currently offers 2 financial hardship exemptions for business tax, one for low revenue generating small businesses, and the second for small business owners with limited household income. Both exemptions are available to small business owners as defined in the Muni Code and require that revenue and or their household income to be below 2 times and 4 times the national poverty guidelines. So building upon the existing exemptions, the action before you today is to temporarily expand the financial hardship exemption. The expansion would remove the need for a business to fit into the small business definition and allow any business type or structure to apply for the exemption, so long as their revenue or income is below the set guidelines. The temporary expansion of the exemption is planned for the period October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. This will allow every business the opportunity to apply for the exemption during their annual renewal period. It's estimated that this expansion would benefit upwards of 6,000 businesses and impact the city's revenue by $1.35 million over the duration of the temporary expansion. It's worth noting that there is no cap to the exemption. So if there are in fact 10,000 businesses that qualify based upon the income requirements, we would approve all 10,000. There are some other procedural modifications that we're making. The Finance Department is making these changes to ease restrictions for pre-qualifying businesses for financial hardship exemptions and proactively lengthening repayment terms. These actions do not require the action of the City Council, but are being presented for awareness of all the changes that we're making to help support businesses qualify for an exemption and spread payments over a longer period of time. The first modification is to use the anticipated income for 2020 rather than relying on the prior year tax return. For obvious reasons, the 2019 tax returns will not reflect the 2020 economic activity of many businesses. So we wanted to make changes to the process for how we pre-qualify exemptions. I'll share a quick example of how to illustrate a business that may benefit from this expansion. So a landlord earning, say, $2,500 per month in rental income would normally not qualify for a financial hardship exemption because their annual gross receipts is $30,000. However, due to high unemployment due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the tenant may have missed 2 or more months of rent. As a result, the landlord's gross receipts for 2020 would be below the exemption threshold, and they can qualify for financial hardship exemption. The other change the Finance Department is making is to lengthen the repayment terms for up to 12 months. Typically, we would limit those to 3 months, but we're making that change due to the circumstances. I also want to note the items that we're doing to reach out to the community and for language accessibility. And so in terms of the outreach, information will be posted on the Finance Department's website and on our phone systems. Any written materials will be translated into Spanish and Vietnamese. And then we're also planning on developing a written summary of the temporary expansion of the hardship exemption that we could provide to the mayor's office and the council offices so that they can share it amongst their residents and networks. On language accessibility, we have staff on board that are certified in bilingual in both Spanish and Vietnamese, and they are our primary resources to assist on the phones. We've also trained staff that are not certified to use a language line solution for interpretation services to help customers in the event that they do not speak English. So to summarize, the recommendation is to add a new section to the Muni Code to temporarily expand the eligibility for the existing financial hardship exemption to all businesses. And that concludes our presentation, and we are available for any questions.
Thank you, Rick. All right, and thank you, Julia. we're going to go to the public and we'll come right back to the council, beginning with Mr. Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for patiently listening to my words of public comment in my previous item. You know, I mean those words not to be hostile and not to be, you know, shock for its shock value at all. I really want to, you know, speak about how to have, you know, open dialogue and conversation about the subjects. And I really want to practice how to do that well. And I'm sorry that I took a little extra time, and I thank you for your patience with that. On to this item, you know, from my previous public comment, you know, I really did try to speak to also what the incredibly good work that's going on at the state level, you know, with, I think it was 1438, if that was the measure, a lot of measures that Ash Karo is working on and David Chu together, and many in the Bay Area, many state legislators in the Bay Area, they were working on really impressive ideas. And what they ended up getting stuck with was compromising with 3088. And that's what I was trying to speak about, is that, you know, Ash Karo is working really good systems and ideas, and yourselves at this time have made your own remarkable efforts, you know, to really try to help the everyday person and local businesses that Ash Karo was doing a tremendous job with, and that got seriously compromised with 3088, and that I hope can be rebuilt in the future. And you've done a terrific job here, it sounds like, and you've made your noble attempts, and I thank you. Now, you know, I hope this doesn't have to be so brought to each local city level, and we can bring these good ideas back to the state, and they can see what can be good ideas, and they can expand 3088. And good luck in all of your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Right back to the council. Councilmember Foley.
Hold on a minute. Sorry, I didn't know I was first.
No, you are.
Oh, you caught me off guard a little bit. All right, let me go back on camera too. I just had a couple of questions. I think this is a really great idea to expand the amnesty program, but I had a couple of clarifying questions, Rick, if I could ask them of you. Under the pre-qualification, we're not asking for financial statements or anything. We're just using their best guess estimate of how their business will be for 2020. But are we monitoring or auditing their finances if their income is better? And are we going to send them a bill for the difference if they perform better that year than not? Or are we just going to consider it a wash?
Yeah, I could answer that. So we do have a process each year on the renewal. So we send out bills each month. So if it's a business that had the renewal in September, upon approving their exemption this year, next year we would verify what their 2020 taxes were. In the event that they made more money than the threshold allows, we would bill them for the business tax for the 2020 year, but we would not apply any penalty or interest to that amount, so long as they pay the base amount that they owe within 30 days of receiving that renewal bill.
Okay. Well, I hope they do better than they project. So how will we notify them, number one, that they're eligible, and then number two, when we've done the review and determined that they may owe us more money for the year that they received the discount? How are we going to take care of that notification?
So the notification, our plan is to have it available both on our website as well as on our phone system. So if a business is calling to talk with a representative, we have pre-recorded messages that we will be promoting this program. And then once they've applied for it, they would no longer have to pay for this year. We would pre-qualify them automatically. It's not until the next year when their renewal comes up that we would verify their 2020 tax. We actually look at their tax returns to verify that amount. And again, that would happen a year on their renewal date, and then they would have 30 days to pay from that date.
Thank you. Is it possible to be a little more proactive from the city side as far as notification that this amnesty program exists? I know as a small business owner in San Jose, I get notifications quite often from the city about small business programs that are being offered right now, particularly in COVID. So is there a possibility that we might be able to use that email list that we have to notify people that they might qualify for amnesty for the 2020 year? Because I know that, you know, small businesses, and you picked one. I was going to ask an example, but you picked one that is really going to be hurt by lack of income, and that's landlords, especially mom and pop landlords, as their tenants are not able to pay them rent. They're also not able to pay the business license tax. So I'm wondering, and they've expressed that as a concern to us sometimes at the council meeting. So how will we get the word out to all of our small businesses in particular, that this is available? Because I think this is a really good program and a really good opportunity for folks who are suffering with their small business right now.
Yeah, two thoughts on that. I just want to clarify that this is an expansion of our financial hardship exemption rather than an amnesty program. We are just wrapping up an amnesty program that we had going on for 12 months. So I just want to clarify that this is something different. But absolutely, we can leverage the email addresses that are in our database and do a blast to get information out to those. I do want to caveat that we will be able to reach those with email addresses that have provided us. So if they haven't provided email addresses, we won't be able to reach every single business, but we have a majority that we can contact through that means.
I appreciate that, of course, and thank you for the clarification. And with that, I will move approval.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Councilmember Kemmons?
Yeah, I merely wanted to thank staff for their thoughtfulness. I hate to see all our nail salons and hairstylists and estheticians who've been forced to stay closed get punished yet again. And I'd hate for our city to be the cause of them going out of business, being the last straw. So I'm very supportive of this, and I thank you for your efforts to be forward-looking. Thanks.
Thank you. There's one member of the community who wanted to speak, I believe, who had their hand up. I thought it was Paul Soto, but it's not showing up now. Paul, are you still there? Mr. Soto, would you like to speak on this item?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Paul.
Okay, all right, Council. Thank you for catching that, Mayor Liccardo. I appreciate that. And good afternoon, members of the Council. The problem that I have is the metric that's being used. The metric that's being used is the poverty level. Okay, and that seems like just a generalized term. Oh, okay, we're just measuring it against the poverty level. When was that poverty level rate made? You see, that's the problem, is that the math is skewed because it's not taking into consideration today's dollars. I can guarantee you that that metric that's being used in terms of determining the poverty level is 1970s. And the person that gave the presentation didn't state what poverty level, what date was that poverty level made by which the income of the person is measured. That's number one. Number two is that there's like what K-Miss just said right now, that he would hate to see salons and all these people suffer because of what has happened, what the city is doing to them. City ain't doing nothing to them. This is COVID. People are dying. People are dying on the streets right now. Right now. I'm in the streets. I've been homeless for about 4 weeks. That's why I said I've been out of circulation. I've been homeless for 4 weeks on the street. I've been inside every single one of these South Hall. I've been inside the one at the fairgrounds. I've been all, and I'm telling you, these People are going to these places not to live. They're going to these places to die. That's why they're going there. They're going there to die. I went in this one place 2 days later. This lady, boom, she's being ambulanced out. She's dead. This is what I'm dealing with. I know you guys are far removed from that. I'm not.
Thank you, Paul. All right, back to the council. I believe there was a motion, is that right? Councilmember-
Mr. Mayor, if I will, I'd like to just clarify the source of the national poverty level.
Sure.
It's the Health and Human Services publishes a guideline each year. The numbers that we're using were published on January 17th of 2020. And that's what we use as the basis for our financial hardship program.
Thanks, Rick. And that federal guideline, is that still based on 3 times the amount of spending on food? I believe that was the old federal metric. They put together a basket of, I think, food items essentially and multiply that by.
I'm not sure of the exact way how they come up with their guidelines, but we've always pinned, our Muni code pins it to this federal guideline. So that's what we've been tracking.
And the 2 thresholds are 2 times the poverty level for one and 4 times the poverty level for another. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. I think we all agree it's a very problematic measure, particularly in a very expensive, high rent area like this one. But it is what it is, and we have to try to find the best approximation we can. Councilmember Arenas?
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering what I'm concerned about is that most of our businesses that just got obliterated are, probably called it quits and are just not going to, are not open for business, may not even think about reopening for business as they, as they look at recovery. And I wonder if we could, at some point, consider some of those businesses that might have closed, but now are reopening again, or closed during this, COVID impacted time, but are going to be reopening maybe early next year, or if there could just be a reserve or some allotment for those businesses that, just got themselves back up again, and now we're going to function. Because from what I understand, this is just a first come, first serve basis, correct?
No, I'll clarify that. It is not a first come, first serve. So any business that meets the qualifications and really it's an income cutoff,
right,
can qualify. We estimate that will be around 6,000 businesses. But as I mentioned, if 10,000 businesses came forward and met that threshold, we would approve 10,000.
Sure. So no matter what those businesses are, and that's my point. My point is that we should have some consideration or some inventory, some spaces that we could afford. Some of these businesses have closed up and that might want to start back up again in a couple of months or so. I don't know how long you project having these 9,000 businesses apply for. Is it all in a different, is it all at once when they pay for their business license?
No, it's a rotating cycle throughout the year. So depending upon when they first registered with the city is the month in which they would receive their renewal bill.
Oh, got it. Okay, so it's based on their renewal and not our specific cycle. Bottom line, I just think that we need to have some level of consideration for some of the businesses that have just been, like I said, obliterated. Their clothes are not, it doesn't look like they're coming back online, but for whatever reason, maybe 2-3 months later, they decided to reopen, I don't know, whatever stand they had, whatever business that they had in because they want to earn a living once again and they want to be their own boss. And so I'm hoping that we can consider some of those folks as well. And I don't know how that would work within the system, or if it's just exclusively to the businesses who are active now and plan on reapplying for the business license tax. I just think that there should be some consideration for some of those businesses. Now, the second thing that I wanted to mention was, when I know that Rick, you said that you were going to give us a handout that we could use and post within our own network. You will let us know what that twice the poverty level and 4 times the poverty level on those 2 qualifications, different qualifications, so that folks know exactly the amount that we're talking about.
Yes, of course.
Awesome. Okay. Well, you know, I'd love to hear from the rest of my colleagues, but I just think that there should be some level of consideration for businesses that are reapplying for business license tax. And I know they may not be active right now and they may not be reapplying, but we don't know, like 3-4 months from now, they want to do this and it might be just a burden on them. But we love to see more small businesses. They're, you know, they thrive here in San Jose, and most of them, as we know, are immigrant owned. And so I think it just provides another opportunity for revenue for our community. So it would be wonderful to have that kind of consideration. And those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Peralez?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Paul, as well. Paul Soto, we missed you. And now I understand why you've been gone, but appreciate your voice. I think it's been missed for the last number of weeks. And I actually have had this conversation with staff before in regards to the use of national guidelines, national poverty guidelines, as we utilize those for thresholds here locally. Unfortunately, these guidelines do apply to all of the states, and actually just looking online, it's actually the guidelines for, as it states, the 2020 guidelines for all states in the District of Columbia, except for, excuse me, they have 2 separate ones for Alaska and Hawaii, but all pretty similar and very low amounts. Those are available online. They are updated. They were updated in January of this year, as staff pointed out. But that's not to say that they're extremely low. For instance, the threshold for a family of 4 is $26,200. And so double that, as this policy states, would be just over $52,000. And again, that's for a family of 4. And I think just the real challenge that we know we have here, and I appreciate the doubling of it, right? But the challenge we have here is that we know the cost of living in the Silicon Valley is not at all comparable to many other average cities across the country. And we're really an outlier, quite frankly. And so I would agree that's a challenging number to use, a challenging threshold to use, or to accept that that's what we use. Is staff, or has staff contemplated sort of any other metric or multiplier to this threshold? I mean, and is that obviously the consideration for double? I know that that's been a kind of a consistent for a while, but just curious in that regard, because this is something that's applied equally across the country.
So Councilmember, this is Julia Cooper. Yeah, I mean, you're right. And when we modernized the business tax, we did add the 4 times threshold for household income. It's clearly something that we could go back and research. I think we like to use this national poverty level because it's an easy metric for us. But to your point, the multiplier may be what's challenging to us. And so it is something that we could theoretically go back and look at and make a recommendation in the future to maybe re-examine those threshold limits, but understand that it also then impacts the revenue coming into the city, and that revenue is really key to providing the services to the community. So obviously there's a trade-off, and we think right now this program kind of creates a balance for us while helping the small businesses and not severely impacting the revenue that we get, the 26 odd million dollars we get in business tax. So trying to kind of, look at that and maybe work with the budget office, and maybe there's something we can do in the future to look at that balancing equation that we do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And the other example actually that it had applied to was for me that I had come across was in being able to apply for a hardship exemption for, I think it was the sidewalk repair and tree removal program, and just recognizing that using this national threshold didn't end up allowing what we would consider, fairly low income to poor families to be able to qualify for a hardship exemption, which I think, that's the whole intent, is that it applies to individuals that really deserve the exemption because they truly don't, generate that much revenue. And so I don't think we should be concerned about maybe some loss of revenue when that revenue is coming off of extremely poor families. I think that's right. That's what the hardship exemption is meant for. It's meant for individuals that aren't generating much. I recognize this is unique because what we're talking about here is specific to the pandemic and specific to smaller businesses. So this is not necessarily maybe the place to try and fix the multiplier or the threshold. I will be voting in favor of this. Again, this is sort of a unique one-off, but I think it has, the utilizing this threshold of a national, for exemptions of a national statistic in regards to poverty guidelines and income, I think it does not necessarily match up well with identifying the families, or in this case, small businesses that truly need the help. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Arenas.
Thank you. So I'm going to make an amendment, a friendly amendment. I think Councilmember Foley, you have the motion on the floor, and I'd like for businesses to be considered for an exemption if they begin that particular business maybe 6 months after a closure date, just so that we can afford those businesses that were obliterated now an opportunity to take advantage of this program later.
So I'm happy to consider that. Just to clarify, you're asking for the exemption to exist for businesses who may be coming back to business. Is that what you're?
Right, exactly. It just might take them, I don't know, 3-6 months to get back into business, but maybe at the moment they're not going to reapply for a business license because they just can't, right?
Can we limit, I'm happy to support it. Can we limit within a certain amount of time frame, 6 months?
I think 6 months is reasonable. Yeah, absolutely.
Then I'm happy to accept that.
Council members, if I will just weigh in, I think thinking about a business that was forced to close temporarily for 3 or 6 months and is now getting back into business, those are the exact businesses that we're trying to target with this expansion, and the modifications to our pre-qualification and looking at their 2020 taxes or anticipated income rather than their 2019 income. So those businesses, unless they officially closed out their business with the Secretary of State of California, would still be on our schedule for renewal in our business tax system. And when that time comes up, they would be able to apply for this expanded financial hardship program as it's designed.
Even if it occurs in May of 2021?
Even if, yeah, so the plan is to have this go through September of next year. So every business, so we have 12 billing cycles, and between now and next year, every business will receive a bill. And if they had a financial hardship, if they want to apply for it, they could do it at that time they receive their bill. So even if it's in May of next year, they can still take advantage of this program.
Okay, then you're right, Rick, and Councilmember Arenas, your idea was a good one, but it sounds like staff has already considered it and it's in effect for the next year. So with
Right. It's in effect until September of 2021, correct? Yes, and so my impression was that this was this eligibility was for businesses that were active as of now. But you're saying that in 6 months, if a business gets back online, they will also be eligible for this.
Correct. Correct. And even brand new businesses that haven't started yet, and if they're going to resume business, they can apply for exemptions. We have businesses that start and register with the city every day that apply for exemptions, financial hardship exemptions, just because they anticipate their income being at a certain level, and we would grant those going forward as well for new business.
Yeah. Yes, and Councilmember Foley, my concern was that, since this is a COVID impacted response to businesses, that there would be some preference for those that are struggling the most. And so I'm glad that the system currently will allow for that to happen. I think I've also asked about the zip codes and any priority for that. I just, from here on, when we have COVID impacted programs that support either our residents or our businesses, I think we always have to keep in mind those zip codes that are most impacted by this this pandemic. And those businesses would stand to reason that those businesses in those zip codes would then have a higher impact, and then therefore have higher priority. And so that is ultimately my point with this request. I'm glad it's integrated now, but I think it's something that we need to continue to think about and plan for as we prepare for a part of recovery. I don't know if we can really say we're in the recovery phase just yet, but as we move forward. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilmember Esparza.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I support the motion on the floor. I just wanted to appreciate Councilmember Peralez's bringing up the income limits. And to that end, I just wanted to remind folks that 30% AMI, for example, when we talk about that, when we're talking about housing, 30% AMI for a family of 4 is 47,350. So I agree. I think that there's a need to discuss the how we sort of figure that out and align it with some other things that we're doing as a city. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then. I think we're ready for a vote. Tony?
Jimenez,
Aye.
Alice,
Aye.
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Amos,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. I want to take an unusual step now. I want to apologize. I believe that Larry Ames is still attending with us. Yeah, I do see him. And Larry is the devoted husband, 42 years of Liv Ames, and has just lost her. And we had an adjournment, I believe, scheduled. And I'm sorry I wasn't aware of it. I just became aware. And so I wanted to interrupt what we're doing to note the adjournment for Liv Ames and ask Councilmember Jimenez if he'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Want to share with you all a little bit about Liv, some of that I didn't know and some of it that I did know. But Liv died September 3rd, 2020 at the age of 72, peacefully and at home in San Jose, California, succumbing quickly after a 9-month battle with pancreatic cancer. Liv is survived by, as you mentioned, her husband of 42 years, Larry Ames, who we all know so well, their sons, grandkids, and sister Marita Alterhag Irving of Norfolk, England, and her younger brother Odd Gunnar Alterhag of Oslo, Norway. Liv was born on December 5th, 1947 to Odd and Ingrid Alterhag of Mo i Rana, Norway, about 20 miles over the Arctic Circle. And it was stated in the family folklore that it was so cold there that, according to the family story, her father's hat froze to the table in the nursery when he went to go see his baby daughter. And in 1976, she came to the U.S. to accept the job offer in microbiology lab at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. She met Larry when she and some coworkers attended a party thrown by a group of physics graduate students. They got married in Madison, Wisconsin on December 17, 1977. 2 weeks before, she had to return to Norway due to an expired visa. Liv loved biking, and during one of her college breaks, she bikes from Trondheim, Idelsvoll, roughly 300 miles and 10,000 feet climb through the Norwegian mountains on a 2-speed bike. Later, she joined Larry on numerous bicycling vacations, including a nearly 600-mile tour of New England, a trip from Vancouver, British Columbia to Portland, from Minneapolis to Milwaukee, Pittsburgh to DC, and numerous places around California. And as a matter of fact, her last biking vacation at the age of 69 was a 250-mile ride from Scranton, Pennsylvania to New York City. And on her 72nd birthday, she went on a 25-mile evening ride to attend a bike club party. She loved exploring, loved skiing. And the other thing of note is that she loved nature, exploring it, working to preserve it, and teaching others about it. She regularly volunteered for the Mid-Peninsula Open Space District in Skyline Ridge Open Space Preserve as a nature docent and as a leader of field trips for elementary school-age children. She enjoyed her uniqueness of being one of just a few thousand Norwegian women here, but gave that up and joined 100 million other American women who could express their opinions tangibly by voting. And Liv loved her family and led a full and meaningful life, and she will truly be missed. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and, of course, to Larry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jimenez. Larry, I hope you're hearing us now. We're sending warm thoughts and hugs your way. Councilmember Davis?
Thank you, and I'm sorry I don't have enough internet connection to turn on my video. I'll remember Liv as a quiet presence at many community meetings and events. She wasn't a big talker, but she always had a quiet smile for me. And I just wanted to extend my deepest condolences to you, Larry, and to your sons and family for this devastating loss, and thank Councilmember Jimenez for this adjournment. Pancreatic cancer has also touched my family, and I feel very deeply for what you've been going through. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right. With that, we will adjourn the meeting at the conclusion of the day for Liv Ames. All right, let's return now to the agenda. We have the items 4.1 through 4.3. They're not to begin before 4 o'clock. So we'll skip those items now and go to the land use consent calendar. Councilmember Peralta, I think you wanted to pull 10.1.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you.
Let's go to that one now. Do you want to speak?
There were members of the public that would like to
Let me
speak.
call it then.
Yeah, if you can call it, thanks.
10.1A is conforming rezoning and special use permit on certain real property located at 796 Delmas Avenue. If anyone from the public would like to speak on this rezoning and special use permit on 796 Delmas Avenue, go ahead and raise your little blue hand and we will get to you. Kevin Chrisman. Welcome, Kevin.
Okay, hi, Sam. New to this format. I've never gone to a council meeting this way. I hope that you all had a chance to read the letter that I sent in to you last week regarding this. And I won't want to take up a whole lot of time rehashing the letter, other than to say that there was another letter that was somewhat scathing, and I hope that as we proceed on this subject, that we can refrain from name calling and calling people racist and that sort of thing in regard to that, because my point has always been to look out for the little guy, especially here in Gardner. And as you know, with the high-speed rail situation, I've tried to save homes. I think my main point on the letter was, I think this should be about housing. We have a chance here. It is gone back to R2. In the general plan, it was said that it's for commercial neighborhood. And that was to protect us to be able to keep the store that we had here for many years. The store became unviable. I know that people said that, well, it should have been sold long ago, but Mary, the owner, didn't put it on the market for a long time. So I'd like to see us keep this to housing. I know that Governor Newsom is going to be signing a bill potentially next week on Coyote Valley open space, where we might lose some of the open space to housing. So it's very important. I have a lot of questions, but I've blown out my time, it looks like. If I would like to know if it says here in their operations plan, if we offer free private yoga meditation classes for members, I want to know how you become a member.
Kevin, thank you. We'll come back to questions shortly. Paul Soto.
Good afternoon, Council, and thank you for that, Perales. I really appreciate that, man, especially at this time when I'm feeling like the only way that I have value as a human being is whether or not I have money to give to a landlord. You know, and when you're sitting out on the streets, man, and you feel like you have absolutely no value, man, you affirm that. So I appreciate that, Perales. I really do. Secondly, are you serious? You're gonna put a yoga studio in the Horseshoe? I mean, this is the kind of stuff right here that you know that gentrification is happening. We want to move out every single Mexican that we can possibly come up with. And the way that we establish that is with all that's happening in the Horseshoe right now is manifest destiny with manners. The same thing, that yoga studio in the Horseshoe is on par with Thomas Fallon staking that flag here in this city. It's on par. It's the same thing. What it means is that we are establishing a new government. We're establishing a new social, political, economic, cultural system by which we're going to force every single member of this community to adapt to. And if they don't adapt to it, then we will criminalize. We will criminalize the responses to our cultural encroachment. Because that's what it is. It's an encroachment on a culture, on a people. Do you know that down the street, over there across the street from Delmas Park, it says that Del Monte, and this is in the ground. It says it's a plaque. It says that Del Monte was fortunate to live in proximity to a large labor pool. That's what they consider the people in the Horseshoe. Is a large labor pool. Check it out. It's right across the street from Del Monte Park. And it's there, and I see it. And I say, oh, really? You just saw me as a large labor pool. I'm a human being, I'm a Chicano, and I'm staying here, and ain't no yoga studio going in that neighborhood.
Thank you. Robert Jones?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Welcome, Robert.
I'm going to use my time very well. I want to tell you, I've lived in this neighborhood for more than 10 years. When this happened, they put this out here as a yoga studio. The signs were misleading. We had to dig into it. It is not a yoga studio. What it is a temple. I'm not against anybody's religion. I'm not against Buddhist religions. I've been to the Sikh temple. But what's happened is they've been deceptive from the very, very beginning. The windows are covered. They bought the property next door. They put bags over the windows. They've got one of the houses turned into a dormitory. One of our neighbors called and said, you know, hey, Robert, do you know what's going on across the street? I said, it's funny, we've been talking about that. She says, no, I'm a Buddhist. They're putting a temple there. They're going to have hundreds and hundreds of people there. Sam, you know this neighborhood. Raul, you know this neighborhood. We don't have the room. We've got the pool, the swimming pool right there. We've got the park. We have no parking issues. And so I reached out to them. They sent me an emissary who gave us misleading information. I called their yoga instructor today. He is not even aware of what's going on in there. He's doing all of his classes online. So there's been so many things that are not true about this. If you approve this, and at minimum, you should pause this and look at this again. But if you approve this, you're approving something that is not correct and is almost fraudulent. Because one of the reasons they got the windows closed, you can't see in there, they don't want you to see what they're doing. And again, we're not against people's religion. I like 7-Eleven, you like 7-Eleven, but I have a right to know whether I want to live next to one. And so that should be put into housing and affordable housing for the community so that people who otherwise couldn't live here could stay here.
Thank you, Robert. Kun Kao, welcome.
Hello, hi. This is my first time participating. Hear me? Okay. Hi, Mayor and then council members. So my name is Chun Cao. I am engineer manager at Google. I like to share with you my strongest recommendation for this organization and then the reason behind it. So I've been studying meditation wisdom for 7 years, and I have been inviting their instructors to give talks and meditation workshops at Google for many times. With more than 200 employees have learned meditation in our classes. Both for myself and for many others, we have benefited greatly from this meditation training. By the way, it's all free and it will be free to the public. This meditation training is really a training for our mind to be more focused. I can observe from myself and others, we are happier, more peaceful, calmer, more compassionate, more productive, more creative, and we all have seen greater relationships with our loved ones, our friends, our families. I think this is a great service to the community. They are doing a great service to the community by bringing this meditation center to San Jose. You know, we're in a super fast-paced, stressful world today. I can hear people are concerned and worried about their future and so on. And then we are in task of building this great technology innovations in the heart of Silicon Valley. We really need this type of help for us to live better and work better. Again, I think this is such a positive add to our community. We can have affordable housing, we can have all these other things, but this is such a unique charger you will not easily find anywhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. The person who's the call-in user number 3, welcome.
This is a reminder that call-in users need to hit *6 to unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Yes, it appears this caller is still muted, so you do need to push the asterisk or star followed by 6. Okay, calling user 3, we're going to come back to you. Here's, oh,
hello?
Good. Welcome.
Hello?
Yes, hi, we can hear you.
Yeah, I called in earlier and I couldn't get through. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, regarding how long the city council meeting should go and how long the people should speak.
So we're not on that subject now.
Yeah, I know it's been voted on, but I just want to tell everyone, you know, when it takes 2 hours to explain something, it's too long.
We're on item 10.1. Would you like to speak on 10.1?
Oh, this is regarding the rentals?
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir, it's regarding a change in zoning on a site in the Gardner neighborhood.
Oh, zoning? Don't change the zoning. No way. Yeah, I was listening to this. Changing the zoning so you guys can cram more houses in? No, I don't think so. I think it's a waste. That if you think you're going to rezone, you're going to make this place better. What you guys need to do is make what you already have that's screwed up better, right? Like the downtown, for example. You could let's try to make downtown like Palo Alto and have startups in those empty storefronts that have brown paper with a for lease on, right? Like, I think you guys should, no, there should be no rezoning because it seems as if what's already been zoned is a disaster. So to let you guys rezone it would be even worse. So what I recommend is work with what you have, and please don't rezone my neighborhood to cram in 4 and 6-plexes. That'll be the worst decision you've ever made. You know what it's going to look like? It's going to look like the favelas that they have in Brazil. But that's what you guys want. You guys want it to end up to look like Brazil. So really, instead of cramming 4-plex into where a one-bedroom tract or 3-bedroom tract home should be, why don't you build in the hillside to make favelas? Now that would be an interesting.
Thank you. Zoom, welcome.
Hi, my name is Jung.
Oh, please forgive me for mispronouncing.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I normally put a Z in front so people will now say Zoom. My name is Jung Nguyen. I'm a volunteer on this project. I've been practice meditation for about 10 years and recently I practiced yoga as well. Yoga and meditation has helped me to deal with my busy life in San Jose and helping to have a strong bond with my son. I have a 22 years old son, my wife, and my hectic work. I'm a licensed structural civil engineer. I work on many projects in San Jose. I'm a volunteer on this project, helping out the technical aspect of the project, like apply building permit, the use permit, adjustment permit, and so on, and all that paperwork, which other people doesn't have a clue what is going on, and some of it is same with me. But from the beginning, we have another contractor work with us, helping to cleaning up the property. We are in the midst of the pandemic. Then, unfortunately, my partner passed away, and it was a shock for me because life is really short, and I see it's really short. So helping him, because when you pass away, all the people you owe money to, they come over and ask, and all people they owe you money, they quiet, So I have to do something like that to help out his wife and children. So, and we try to do good. We try to do as much as we can. We do good for the community. Don't do evil, and just keep our mind clear. That's our motto. And we do the best on this.
Thank you. Yadira Casares?
Hi there. So I live on Delmas. I'm just a few houses down from the location. And I just wanted to address some of the replies. So one of our objectives was the fact that parking was going to be an issue. And their response was, the use will not generate more parking than would have as a market. I think that's false. Let's just be honest. If you're going to go into yoga meditation, it's going to be more than 5-10 minutes. Therefore, the 14 parking spaces that are allotted for that business, that's going to be a few hours. And then 2, I mean, I love yoga. I practice yoga. I love meditation. But if you Yelp a yoga, we all live here in Old Glen. So if you Yelp yoga, there is walking distance from my house. There are over 10 locations. I don't think we need another location. And to top that off, it's not going to be a yoga studio. It's going to be a temple. My mom lives on North 14th Street. If you guys, I mean, after COVID is over, but if you go on 15th Street, there's the same Buddhist temple right across the street or right by my mom's house. It's going to be the same thing in our neighborhood. There's going to be absolutely no parking. I mean, it's already an issue, like Robert said. I just don't feel like it fits in with our neighborhood.
Thank you, sorry. Okay, I believe those are all the members of the committee who wanted to speak. I'm going to come back to the council. Councilor Prowse.
Yeah, thank you. And is staff on? And I just wondered if they were prepared. I'm happy to, I've got obviously some comments to share, but if staff was available to present a little bit on why this is coming forward as a
Yes, council member, this is Rosalind Huey, Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement.
Hi, Rosalind.
Hello.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you can, I don't know if you have a short presentation in regards to the project itself, and then why obviously this is coming forward as a conforming project, and then what it actually is.
Certainly, I can provide a description of the project we received. So we received the application on March 25th of this year. The site has a general plan designation of neighborhood commercial, community commercial, which allows for all commercial uses. The existing zoning is residential R2. So the request is to rezone to the commercial pedestrian zoning district. The applicant did indicate that the proposed use is a religious assembly use, and they also shared that yoga or meditation is part of that religious assembly use. So I did want to clarify that. Because the project was deemed under the City Council Public Outreach Policy as a very small development proposal, we did not host a city community meeting. We did send out public notices of the project, and actually the site has been posted since April 20th of this year. Obviously, once the public notice went out for today's hearing, staff did receive about 6 emails from residents, including the Gardner Neighborhood Association. But I did just want to reiterate that per staff's review, the project does conform with the general plan, the proposed zoning district, which does align with the general plan designation.
Thank you. And I recognize that's why this was assigned for consent, as we try to allow people to develop what it is that our general plan will allow them to develop, or operate what we allow them, it will allow them to operate. And I recognize the concerns coming from the community, and I appreciate those, and going back to my appreciation of having Paul Soto back, as he knows, I happily also have disagreed with him plenty of times, and I think that there are plenty of Latinos doing yoga as well as engaging in all sorts of religions, and much like I would like to ensure that cities and locations like Cupertino don't deny, whether they're low-income individuals or working class individuals, to live in their city. I think similarly, there's no neighborhood or area that should be somehow exclusive to one religion, one type of person, one ethnicity. And so I wouldn't base any of my opposition for a particular project based on what religion or particular use, unless it was something that was deemed to not fall in line with what legally could be there. And in this case, this project legally is able to operate. And in fact, I know there were some concerns brought up that potentially this could bring in hundreds of people. And in fact, if Rosa, you can highlight, I know that we put in place some restrictions in regards to the use, the number of individuals, sessions per day. Could you list those out?
Thank you, council member. So unfortunately, I don't have the operations plan in front of me, but
No worries, I have it in front of me.
okay, I can get a hold of that and read some of those out, but I can't speak to the parking because I know that that was an issue raised by the residents. So I just, as way of background, the existing commercial building that's on the site was built in 1935. And that previous grocery store use was legally established prior to 1965. So the prior use would have required 13 parking spaces per our current zoning code standards. And the proposed assembly use requires 14 spaces, which is under the 40% requirement. So it's not deemed a substantial change, and therefore the project would not be required to meet the parking requirements of the zoning ordinance, and the existing condition of 0 off-street parking space provision is acceptable for the project.
Thank you. And I know because of obviously it being classified as a church or religious assembly, as they did come in the application on, we have restricted them to 3 sessions per day, up to 15 people between the hours of 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And in fact, right, much less obviously than the concern of maybe hundreds of people. But can you speak to that? If what happens if they do end up violating or going beyond what we are allowing them, whether it's the time frame they're operating too late, or if they have more sessions than they're allotted, what are we able to do in response?
Yes, so council member, any violations of the permit that the council may approve today, the applicant would be, the permit could be subject to being revoked. And obviously, if any items in the operations plan are not being adhered to, our code enforcement team would go out to the site and do an investigation, but ultimately they would be at risk of losing the permit.
Thank you. And you know, this site has been vacant for I think actually over a decade or so. It was great when the market was there, but it has now been an eyesore. It's been an area of blight and illegal dumping and you name it. Already, as this new property owners come in, they've responded to cleaning up the area, to graffiti, as neighbors concerned, and there was valid concerns on things like the height of their fence. They responded to that and changed that. It looks like they want to be good neighbors. We've connected them to many neighbors. They've responded to that. They've connected with those neighbors. Albeit I recognize there are still some concerns, but this is someone that is coming in with an application that meets our guidelines. Additionally, we are putting in place further restrictions to limit the use, the time of day, the number of maximum use of people. And as Rosa just pointed out, if they violate that, they're subject to lose that permit. And so much like anybody else, you know, I don't believe that that's their interest, but there are ramifications and there's ways for the neighborhood to continue to hold them accountable. And hopefully they come in and they can be a good neighbor in the area and help us better this particular location. And so with that, I will move approval of staff recommendation.
Second.
It's a motion and second. Just to understand a bit further, Rosalind, whether this is represented as a temple or as a meditation center or a yoga center, it makes no difference in the code. Is that right?
That's correct, Mayor. It's represented as a church assembly use, and the applicant did provide in the application that yoga and meditation is part of the assembly use, and that would be allowed per the zoning code.
Okay. I just want to clarify. I understand. I know there were concerns about the applicant misrepresenting, and I actually went online just to learn more about Bodhi Light International, and there's clearly an intersection of religious faith and meditation practice, and I don't think there's probably no dispute about that. So under the constraints, the limitation in numbers of people, for example, if neighbors were to believe, you know, hey, 200 people just showed up last week, they could simply call code enforcement, I assume. Is that right?
Yes, Mayor, that is correct.
Okay.
They could file a complaint, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you. I appreciate Councilmember Paul's comments. I appreciate many members of the community who I know who weighed in on this issue on both sides. I think I see this the same way that Councilmember Perales does. My own family goes way back in this neighborhood. My mother's maiden name is Aceves, and they lived there in the Gardner neighborhood for about 3 generations right after they immigrated from Mexico. And so this is a community I know well, and I know that this market has been a vacant eyesore for several years, and I think it's important to bring activity into the community, and so I welcome having more activity rather than less. Councilmember Sparson?
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question on, so the zone, I know the area well as well. I've had family in and around the area. And I know that the site has been an eyesore, but it's interesting that the existing zoning is is residential. In the time that it's been vacant, has anybody submitted an application to build housing there?
I'm looking at the staff report. No, we have not received an application for residential use.
Okay, so in all the years that it's been an eyesore in the community, no one submitted an application to take advantage of family residential zoning, and the action we're taking today sort of supports the existing use and would allow the community to not have an eyesore in their neighborhood with an avenue to complain if folks are not following the rules, essentially. All right, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, then, on the motion from Councilmember Perales.
Ennis,
Aye.
Perales,
I'm
Aye.
sorry, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Carrasco.
Yes, sorry, Mayor. Thank you. So I just wanted to just make a comment. Rosalind, you were mentioning that there was no community outreach that had been done in the process of all of this.
Yes, council member, that's correct. So per city council public outreach policy, if a project is deemed as a very small development proposal, we're not required to actually conduct a community meeting. As I mentioned, the site had been posted with the sign since April of this year. And then our staff did mail the public notice regarding this particular hearing I think it was in August. So that is our way of notifying the public that a development proposal is pending for the site. And until we actually mailed the public notice, we had not received any inquiries from members of the public, but obviously once the notice did go out, we did receive 6 emails.
And 6 emails. So what's considered a small project? So what's the size at which point you would actually do a public that you would do a public outreach and have a town hall or meet with the community regarding a project?
So basically, as the criteria are outlined in the city council policy, we would hold a community meeting on projects obviously of interest. If we received, numerous inquiries from members of the public, and then obviously we have different radii for providing that public notice. In this case, it was a radius of 500 square feet. So property owners and addresses, tenants as well, did receive that public notice.
So the radius is only 500 square feet?
That is correct.
So it was a radius of 500 square feet and you got 6 emails.
If I could chime in, I did actually connect the applicant with the neighborhood association, even though it wasn't a requirement, but based on our public outreach requirements, we did connect the applicant directly with the neighborhood association on August 4th. And they have had numerous engagements with individuals in the neighborhood since then, which is why we see so much engagement.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the neighborhood association doesn't support the project as a result of that engagement. And so this is my concern. And now that raises even,
bigger red flags for me is that 500 square feet radius in terms of the kind of outreach is hardly, in my opinion, any outreach at all. So I'm from that neighborhood originally. I'm, you know, my family, almost my entire family, first generation that came from Mexico was as Paul Soto. By the way, Paul, very nice to hear from you again. We missed you and we missed hearing your opinion. We don't always have to agree, but having your voice is a good reminder of those who sometimes aren't always heard. And of course, being an original Horseshoe resident, I understand the significance of your voice. And so I grew up literally just 2 blocks from there, in front of the Horseshoe, which is where it gets its name from. And I grew up making my rounds on Delmas, where this little store had its ups and downs. Sometimes it was open, sometimes it wasn't, sometimes it was a store, sometimes it wasn't a store, sometimes it was just you know, a vacant little building. And my family was that labor force that provided for Del Monte. And so I know the plaque that Paul is referring to. I went to go visit that plaque literally hours after my mother passed, because I wanted my children to see the legacy that she left behind. But so this is the concern I have. I think 500 feet radius in terms of the outreach that's done, I think it's minimal to let an entire neighborhood, especially a close-knit neighborhood, know what's about to happen. I think it's minimal, and I understand that that's the minimal requirement. I think when you have a big change like this that's about to happen in the neighborhood, I think you go beyond the minimum. I think that whether you call it a yoga studio, a meditation studio, or a temple, I don't have an issue with it. I think in these times, I welcome that kind of serenity, but I'm hearing from the neighborhood, and even with 500 feet radius, we're hearing opposition. And I think that that is a cause of concern. And I would prefer to have in a neighborhood like Gardner and Horseshoe, to have harmony, especially when you have something like this coming into a neighborhood, that it be welcomed. And I know that it's not always going to happen 100%, but this is a very special neighborhood, and it might be one of the last type of neighborhoods like this that is so tight knit. It's quickly being gentrified. It's quickly being altered in its character, and I just think that it would be of great benefit to have the community weigh in on how they want their community to look, and the kind of neighbors that are moving in, and how they're going to change the face of it. So Council Member Perales, I very typically support just about everything that you bring to the table. This one is going to be very hard for me to support because of the lack of outreach, and then also the opposition. And I know this neighborhood very, very well. I grew up on the streets of Horseshoe, on Atlanta and Hull, on Delmas and Virginia, on Willis, which was my street, on the playgrounds of Gardner Elementary, and definitely on the Horseshoe. And I learned how to swim at Beabrack, and in spite of city staff telling me not to do it, that's where I learned how to dive. And so it's going to be hard. I can't support this one right now. And even though it may be allowable under our code or under Rosalind's department, in the past, you and I have stood with our residents and have voted against Alviso when they were going to bring in, that entertaining golf what is the golf?
Kaparo.
Yeah, and when they were going to bring in the capital improvements in D4, in our residents were saying, no, we don't want it next to a school because of all these reasons. And Councilmember Foley, you and I stood with the residents and said, okay, we're listening, we hear you, and we're not going to do it. And so today I have to stand with the residents and vote against it. Thank you.
You. Councilmember Rallis?
Yeah, thank you. And believe me, Councilmember Carrasco, I would love for the community to be in harmony, whether it's this item or other items. As you point out, that's not always the case. And it's certainly not me bringing anything forward. I didn't even know what was coming forward until the applicant brought it forward. This isn't something necessarily that I might pick out of a lineup for the best fit for the neighborhood. But I'm not trying to bring my own personal opinion into this equation. I do want to bring in the concerns of the community, but this is not equivalent to Top Golf, which, quite frankly, is more Vegas-like than anything else. It's not necessarily a regular golf course, and I did feel that would be detrimental to the community. I don't think a 15-person max, 3 times a day religious-based yoga studio is going to be detrimental to the community, and quite frankly, it does conform with what we ask it to. And there are safeguards for the community if indeed this operator violates their conditional use. And so, with those in mind, recognizing that there are some in the community, and I will say there have been a number of individuals actually that have supported it. As you know, Councilmember, we don't always get those individuals to show up at the council meetings to show their support. But we did have a number of individuals, whether at the meeting or after, that have communicated that they're not opposed to the project. And many actually that we're happy to see that this particular parcel was finally going to be revitalized. That's not the view, obviously, of the neighbors that have spoken up today. I recognize that, and harmony would be preferred. I also was following the outreach guidelines. There's really, besides changing the policy, which this council can do, I'm open to that. I agree with you, and I think we had that on a potential priority setting item, which was expanding the outreach guidelines, but we did not elect to bring that forward as a policy priority back in, I think it was January or February. But I wouldn't disagree with that, although that's not what we have now. What we have is a policy. So indeed, my office did want to at least connect the applicant, even though that was not a requirement that they do a community meeting. We did want to connect the applicant to the neighborhood association, albeit, as you point out, that led to the neighborhood association not necessarily supporting the project. And even still, with the totality of the factors, it's not something I feel deserves to be denied. It is something that I feel deserves to be watched closely, and I'm happy to, with the neighbors, ensure that this operator is held accountable and that they are a good neighbor. But other than that, I'm not interested in denying them this opportunity. I don't think it's going to be detrimental, as some other projects are, where I would be willing to oppose staff. So I will stick with my motion and encourage my colleagues to support that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. I did want to ask one question of Robert, who had raised his hand and spoken previously. He lives about a half block away, I know. And I just want to ask specifically about misrepresentations that you suggested. Robert, was there something else? Did I miss something, or was it just this issue about it being a temple?
No, there's more. There's been numerous violations of what they say they're going to conform to have happened already. There's been people there late after hours. They've actually already started using it over 9 months ago. Prior to any of this, there's people coming in and out without any PPE or any of those kind of things. Also, we have never spoken to them. The representative that they were assigned to us was a volunteer. It was a slow drip of information. It was not done accurately. And so we have never been introduced to the owners personally at all. And the way it's been set up to this point, with the windows being darkened and shades over it and everything, we've been sort of walled out of this whole thing. And we are a tight community, and we are not against people's religion. I'm a child of the civil rights movement. I think people should be able to do whatever they want to do. But they have not really told us really what's going on. They have never met with us. And we only have our neighborhood. We cannot afford to have this chunk taken out. Now, I'm not saying that eventually we might not agree with what they want to do, but to this point, they haven't said anything to us. Their conversations have been directly to the city council and not to us. The only person we've talked to is not them. It is a volunteer spokesman. So they need to come to the community and let us know really what they're going to do. There's more. There's been people up on the roof at 9 o'clock at night. I've had to call in the graffiti. I've had to pick up the trash. Of course, people want to see that property improved. And the fence is nice, but anybody who buys that property is going to improve it in this market. Anybody, including them or anybody else who applies. So that and the board has already, we've met, and we're against it in its existing format, because we have not had proper outreach to them, and they haven't done anything to the community to make us feel that they even care about us at all. They haven't taken that into concern. So we don't take this lightly, Sam and Raul. We really don't. We respect you guys, but we know what's going on. We know the parking issues. With the swimming pool, we're full. We don't mind. People come to Bebrack Park. They use the pool. Most of them come from other parts of the city. That's great. I pull my car in, people park in front of my house. They're here for an hour, they're gone. But from what I know, and again, when I asked him what they were doing, he said yoga studio. So, okay, he said yoga. So he sends me an email, and I'll send you guys the email of their instructor. I called the instructor. He knows nothing about this project. So we're being misled. So I called the guy, and he says, oh no. I said, do you have any choice? You're going to move to San Jose? He's like, what are you talking about? I teach in LA online. So a lot of this is not accurate.
Right. Okay, Robert, thank you. Appreciate it. So the points are well made. I can very much appreciate the concerns of those who are frustrated in the community about the lack of communication, or in some cases, obviously misrepresentation. I guess all I can say is, first, I think that there's fair notice now to both Councilmember Prowse's office as well as my office that there are concerns about whether or not the activity in this building is going to be as it's represented. And obviously, if it doesn't fit within what appear to be very strict confines set by this permit, and I think I don't know many other operations, any other businesses where we've only allowed 15 people at a time. That's and only 3 assemblies a day. That is very significant limitation. So all I'd say is I think we're on notice that there's a concern. Clearly, I know the community will be watching if there's obvious significant violations, and we'll be following up with code enforcement and enforcing the rules. So I appreciate the frustration. Councilmember Carrasco?
Yeah, I just had a question about timeline. Is there an urgency to meet today, to have this approved today? Is there anything that can be done so that we can ask them to meet with the community and have this deferred to a later council?
Rosalyn, did you want to respond, or?
Sure. I don't think that the applicant is on the call, or a representative of the applicant is on the call. We don't have any notation in terms of a schedule for the project to be implemented. They did actually this summer, they have started work on the site. They have a permit adjustment that was approved. So we know that work is going on the site, but we don't have like an implementation schedule in terms of when they would like to start holding the religious services.
The concern I have with
Can
the,
I interrupt you for just a moment,
yeah,
Councilmember?
sure.
I'm not sure if the person whose name is Xiong, who I mispronounced, I may have mispronounced his name again. Are you a representative of the applicant?
And yes, I am. I'm even though I'm a volunteer, but I can present the owner about
Okay.
that. Regarding to Robert's concern, I understand from his point of view, and it's also my concern as well, because when we, as an engineer, I would like to bring the building up to the certain, the current code and also current look. That are what an engineer normally do. But this building had been built in 1935 and been classified as a historic building. So it's very minimal we can do to that. We have to preserve the look of it for the community because it's a historic look. When we do change something to the look, we have to apply for permit and apply to what material we're going to use to do that and so on and so on. There are very strict guidelines to it. It make us engineer very frustrated. So I understand from Robert, from his point of view, that why we didn't do anything with it. We really want to, but we really need guideline from the city, and we will do that when we have a chance to renovate and open to work. Because now, without the use permit, my instructor cannot come down up here, and then the same with my master cannot come up here. And last hour we talked about how bad it's going with the economy when our small business suffer during this pandemic. Is worse for nonprofit organization. Any of us do any donation for the last 6 months? Not many of us doing that because we suffer. We are all suffering, and we frustrated. And I think is normal that people will see a thing is not up to date and blame other people. But we really want to bring this building up to stand to the current code, meet all the code, and then with the use, we apply for the permit for yoga section for a maximum 15 people nowadays. And I think the trend in the future also, people are going to learn yoga or meditation through Zoom. Only when they really have a problem, then they ask to meet face-to-face with the instructor, with the master to explain their problem and then get guidelines about that. You don't have the big gather like before, even though when we get back, but Zoom is so convenient. So that the thing we do, and we have more than enough parking on site, so we're not going to use parking outside at all. And how to be a member? We are open. We come in, and then everybody can get a section with us, and if they like, they continue. If they said no, I'd rather do something else, then that's fine. But we come in, we open to all of the neighborhood and all walk of life. We don't discriminate anybody. So have to make sure to Robert and everybody else that we do it free. So you cannot blame us because that's the best thing we can do. If we ask you to pay, then you said they are not good or so, but it is all free. So if you need it, only if you need it, if you feel stressed, you want to release stress, then we have a goal to meet. But it's not for fun. It's not fun. You go to the movie. You don't go to meditation and sit facing the wall, do nothing. It's very hard. Only if you are so frustrated, your son didn't listen to you, your wife keep yelling at you, all that, and threaten to divorce you. That when you need meditation, to get to. So.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosco.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank the speaker. Excuse me. So back to my question, I just wanted to see if there was any way that we could, I don't know if Councilmember Perales would be open to deferring this to maybe the next 2 weeks, just to be able to get the community to engage and have a conversation, a meaningful conversation, because it sounds like,
I'll make it easy on you. I am open to it. I don't know of any urgency, so.
okay, then I would make a friendly amendment to your motion. I could support your motion if we could get the community to engage.
And then I just asked Rosalind, do we have an idea? Is this something we could bring back in 2 weeks?
Councilmember, that would assume that we could get a community meeting scheduled very quickly with the community. That would have to happen this week or next week at the latest, so that we could come back to council with additional input or perhaps any additional conditions on the permit.
Council member, if I could, just to remind the council that we don't have a council meeting in 2 weeks. So it might be better to do it in 3 weeks, and then that would provide the time that everyone is looking for.
Gold. Councilmember Perales?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I haven't communicated this with the applicant on any sort of delay. 3 weeks is a bit of a length of a delay. I don't actually know what that means for their business, but I have not been informed of any urgencies that they have. And my understanding, maybe Rosen, you can correct me, but Zung, who was just speaking, he has been sort of taking point in the applications for the permits on behalf of the organization, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so, and I know we as council members know this, that it's not always the owners of businesses that lead on the application process. Typically there are consultants involved. Clearly this is not an organization that's hired a professional consultant. I don't hold that against them. It's someone that is asked, you know, a partner volunteer of theirs to help lead on that through the city process. And so I don't hold that against him either. And he has engaged and been willing to engage with the community, as well as another representative who is affiliated with the organization. But at the same time, if the, you know, I think if the community is feeling as though they'd like to maybe engage with someone else, there's really nobody else that I have personally engaged with besides Zung and Xin, I believe is her name. We can see if there is someone else as well. In the 3 weeks, if that's as soon as we can get it, we'll have to deal with that with them, and we can deliver that message to them. And I'd be happy to accept that friendly amendment. So thanks.
Thank you. All right, Councilor Diep.
I'll go with the motion on the floor. I don't have a strong feeling, but I just want to, if I could share my screen real quick, and am I doing it? So on the discussion of 500 feet and stuff, I just want to point out to the council, my colleagues, that this is, can you see what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
This is our standard procedure in the city. And we can amend it and we cannot, and we can have that discussion about what's appropriate for projects and what's not. But per what Rosalind was describing earlier, we went through the process, and I didn't study this, but apparently we did all the outreach we needed in terms of an email or flyers or whatever, and whether there needs to be a community meeting or not. And I think this applicant went through the normal process from what I'm hearing. And I just want to caution my colleagues against altering or deviating from the standard process too much for whatever reason. I think if the hoops are there and they're not the right hoops, we can move that, but we shouldn't be moving, the goal lines or whatever mid process. So, I'm happy to have the friendly amendment. I'll support it. I don't feel strongly either way, but I just think that we should be consistent in it, and we shouldn't be surprised when our standard operating procedure of 500 feet seems. Why are we doing only 500 feet? It should be more. This is what everyone goes through, and we should recognize that and honor it. But again, I'll support the majority of the council.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate what Councilmember Diep said and his willingness to also go along with the motion. I think that that's also our job, right, is to give feedback and input, and I appreciate Councilmember Perales's clearly who spent a lot of time on this. I think if we're erring on the side of a little bit more community outreach, that's the side I'm comfortable with erring on. And if residents want to take that time to say how glad they are to get rid of an eyesore, great, let's do it. If they want to use that time to say, hey, we really want to understand the structure of this organization a little bit more because we're not feeling like communication has been consistent, I think it's good to offer them that opportunity. And so I think we're erring on that on the side of increasing communication with the community, and I don't see that as a bad thing. I'll be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Prost, did you want to have any final words?
Yeah, I didn't make it part of the motion. I didn't, and I recognize now Rosalind responded with this about a community meeting. I don't actually intend to change the process. I'm not sort of asking for staff to mail out and do a formal or traditional community meeting. I want to lead this effort with my office. I think you have done the work that you need to do. We have connected the applicant, or at least their representative, with the neighborhood association. What we will do is we will lead on that again. I would like, right, if you want to loan us who is the lead on this project, right, to participate maybe in a Zoom meeting with us. But I'm not asking for the process itself to be, changed, but I am okay with buying a couple extra weeks to allow us to engage a little bit more deeper and see if we can get one of the formal applicants to participate. And then if I can ask Mr. Zung, if he can let us know if he thinks that that's possible. I know he has been speaking for the applicant. If he thinks that over the next couple of weeks that we can work with him and actually get the owner to engage with us. And I don't know, maybe if there was staff can unmute him.
I believe, Councilman, I'm sorry, was that a question for?
That was a question for him, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's still.
Hi, this is Jung. We've been bleeding for almost a year already, and I brought it up very briefly that our nonprofit organization is get worse than small business. We have no money coming in. We have to pay mortgage, and we have to open it to our community so they can come in and see it. We have priority to the community member to come in. But please let us open the front door, because the building doesn't have any windows and it's just hot. And it's hot like crazy inside. And we use foam to block the windows in the front. And people say, what happened inside? We have to open it for us. It's a very frustrating situation for us. We try to be a part with the community, but we don't have any permit to do. And the misunderstanding get deeper and deeper. After work, 5 o'clock, 5:30, I run over here, and sometimes I catch some of the neighbor and talk to them a little bit and instruct the work in the manner that we don't violate the code. So please let us operate it, and we will keep it in the guideline. We promise. We are all adults, and I've been a professional engineer for a long time, and I live here, and we have our operation plan, and we will stick with the operation plan, and we'll be part of the community. Any delay will cause us to go bankruptcy, because what can you do? You have to pay mortgage. People don't come in, they don't give donation. And you also don't ask, we normally don't ask for donation either, because that if we don't have money, then that's it. But if it's like that, the bank gonna take it, and gonna be another 10 years for this building will be vacant and gonna be a dumping ground again. So this is an opportunity for us to be a part of the community, and we promise to do good. And it is non-religion. It is yoga meditation. You don't need to be a Hindu to practice yoga. You don't need to be a Buddhist to practice meditation. David, he doesn't want to convert me to a Hindu, or my master doesn't want me to convert everybody to Buddhism. We just teach the way how you control your mind and your body when you need it. And that's it. It's have done good for me, and I want to share it to everybody.
Mr. Jung, sorry if I keep pronouncing your name wrong as well. I will try to get that correct. What I was asking was in regards to sort of I guess an owner of the studio. It sounds like obviously you have been the applicant, you have been or speaking for the applicant, you have been who's helped the applicant through the process here with the city and actually applying. But yet you're titled as a volunteer. Can you describe what I don't know if there's even somebody else that we would ask to engage with the community. You have been the one that has engaged with the community for us. But as you heard today, Robert was stating that he feels you're just a volunteer. Clearly you're speaking in a role that sounds like you're different than a volunteer. Is there somebody else to work with? Is there somebody else paying the bills? Is that yourself? And this would make a difference for me because I don't want to delay you 3 weeks if we don't have to. But I guess there needs to be some clarity in regards to, who are you as a spokesperson for the organization, and could we arrange something with you to have another conversation, or is there someone else?
And yes.
So we could arrange to have a conversation with.
Yes, Venerable Sinsin, the CEO of Buddhi Light, is on the call, and also David, the instructor, and they both raised their hand. So you please check.
They are on the call.
They are on the call and raised their hand. Sinsin.
I see David Diotis and Helena Seaman who have raised their hands. Amy Sang, is that who you're referring to? All right. Ms. Sang?
Yes.
Welcome.
Hear me?
Yes. Were you able to hear the questions that Councilmember Pross?
Yes. I've been tuning in, and hi, my name is Amy, and Amy Singh. I'm representing the Bodhi Light International, the owner of the property. And Young has been our representative because we've been operating down in Southern California, Rosemead, California for 15 years. And we've been teaching meditation as a nonprofit organization for 15 years. And we're new to the community, and most of the time we're in Los Angeles as it stands right now, because we're waiting for the zoning changing and permit approval to really officially be able to work on the construction projects that we have. When we first got the property, from what I was told, that the property was a dump. And we have picture, we have visited the property. And so we did some quick fixes to bring it up to a standard conditions with very economical means. Again, like Yon says, we're a nonprofit organization. It was quick fixes, and we thought we could just go through the procedures. And again, we're not familiar with the procedures in City of San Jose in order to obtain permits. So we went through the process and waited for, I think, almost a year on this. There has been issues arising one after another with the planning and building and different departments that we've been trying to patiently work through up to this point. And we've been semi-utilizing the property for our use, because we need to have people stay there, obviously, to have construction workers helping us to fix small things inside out. And Yong has been mainly the person who really is in charge of bringing it, just kind of look out for the property. So basically,
Can I pause you real quick? I appreciate you being on. And it sounds like you haven't been able to engage with the community as a representative. And I think that, as you heard today, there was a feeling as though maybe, Jung is a volunteer speaking on behalf.
Right.
I have the same intent that I did today, which is to support this project moving forward. But I also would love for someone like you to be able to get in front of the community members that you heard today, to try to get us all off on a better start. And I don't want to delay longer than we have to. And the 3-week delay, obviously, was longer than I would want to. Considering we have a holiday in 2 weeks, I am willing to say we just defer this 1 week to next Tuesday. And if, Amy, you can commit to join with Jung as well, sometime between tomorrow and Friday or Saturday even, we will reach out to our neighbors that are on the Zoom call now. And I'm this is be the first notice, right, that we want to invite our neighbors there in the neighborhood, and yourself, Amy, and Jung, to join a Zoom call. We will discuss this, and then Rosalind, hopefully we can get a representative from planning to join us and just be able to speak to the actual conditions on the project and what some of the ramifications may be. Amy, if you can commit to that, I will make that the motion instead, and hopefully we can get this concluded next Tuesday.
Sure.
And if you don't mind, Amy, if you can please connect with my office, if you can send an email to district3@sanjoseca.gov or connect with Jung. I believe you know how to get a hold of us. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Perales.
And sorry, that's the change to the friendly amendment to the motion, just to specify 1 week. And my office will lead the engagement.
And as the seconder, I accept that as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Foley. All right, then let's vote on that motion.
Jimenez,
Yeah.
Perales,
Aye.
Diep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor, I have a request. Is it possible? I know we're at 4 o'clock and ready to go into the 4 items, police items, but is it possible to move up the 10.2 and deal with that?
That's exactly where I was going. Since we're on 10.1, I was going to go to 10.2 because the direction was for not before 4 o'clock. It wasn't for a time certain. So I'm happy to go to 10.2. We'll wrap that one up and then I think get to the much lengthier items.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Sure. So let's call 10.2, the administrative hearing on the appeal of the Planning Commission's approval of the CUP for Bascom Residential Care Facility Project. And Rosalind, do you have a presentation on this?
Yes, Mayor, I have a very short presentation. I can get through the slides pretty quickly. Okay, so the item, the land use item before the council is an administrative hearing on the appeal of the Planning Commission's approval of conditional use permit number CP 19-021 for the Bascom Residential Care Facility Project that is located on South Bascom, just south of the intersection of Dry Creek Road. Just real briefly, in terms of the project history, we received the application in June of last year. The city hosted a community meeting on October 17th of 2019. I need to correct, the applicant actually hosted 2 additional community meetings with the neighbors. The project was heard by the Planning Commission on July 22nd of this year, and they did approve it. The Planning Division did receive a timely appeal from Mr. Townsend on August 3rd, identifying concerns regarding failure to meet the requirements of the state fire code, the county vehicle access, and the city's fire department requirements. Also concerns regarding the reliance of the 15-foot easement and just overall project designs. Here are a couple of images, renderings of the project, which includes 83 units, again, a residential care facility. It's above grade, approximately 30,200 square feet in the lower level. It also includes activity rooms, a staff room, utility rooms, and parking. So staff reviewed the application and found that it did conform with the general plan, the zoning ordinance, and our design guidelines. A mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the project. And did just want to note that the city's fire department has approved a variance for the project to address the access issue. And that variance includes a number of design measures that are detailed in the council memorandum. So staff is recommending that the council consider the mitigated negative declaration and deny the permit appeal and approve the conditional use permit subject to conditions. I also want to note that since the Planning Commission hearing, staff has added a new condition number 37. This was just an oversight and administrative error. The affordable housing conditions, that language is included in the resolution that has been posted to the website for today's hearing. And this concludes staff presentation. And I understand the appellant and the applicant are on the call.
Okay, so I believe we begin with the appellant, if I'm not mistaken. The appellant has 5 minutes, followed by the applicant who has 5 minutes, followed by members of the public. So the appellant, I'm sorry, Rosa, will you help me? Do you see that person on the list with their blue hand raised?
Okay, I am looking. I do not see a raised hand. The appellant is Mr. Townsend.
Oh, Brett Townsend, yes. Okay, Mr. Townsend,
Oh,
why don't you proceed first? Mr. Townsend, your device is muted right now. You'll need to unmute that.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I believe so, although your device says it's muted, but I can hear a voice. I know that.
Okay. Yeah, this is Mr. Townsend. Thank you very much. Hello, City Council members. My name is Brett Townsend. I am the property owner of 2355 South Bascom Avenue, which is the bordering property to the north of the development property. My family and I have operated the business Central Valley Marine on this property for 45 years. We are pleased to see the neighboring property being developed. However, we are concerned with the poorly planned access to the rear perimeter of the proposed project. Our business operates 6 days a week from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The flow of traffic into our property is from the entrance on Bascom Avenue and around the property and in the opposite direction of the proposed emergency access. This flow and direction of traffic through our dealership was approved by the city and included in our permitted operation back to 1985. The easement through our property being proposed as being the only emergency access to the back of the development property is not adequate for a new modern facility of such size and capacity. The current fire code mandates a 26-foot wide access road for fire and emergency access for a similar structure. However, the variance issued for this project relies on a narrow 15-foot easement to be the only emergency access to the back of the new project. The actual usable width of this easement is less than 11 feet in some areas. This is because of a dividing block wall and a curb that separates our property from the neighboring homes and Dry Creek. Without this wall, the Dry Creek neighborhood would be exposed to noise and commercial activity on Bascom Avenue. Furthermore, the neighboring home is built right up next to the wall. There is also a significant slope along the length of the easement that requires a curb to route rainwater away from the neighboring home and out to the storm drain. With less than 11 feet of usable width and an uphill slope and possible traffic flowing in the wrong direction, the proposed emergency access is a bad idea. It is foreseeable that in the event of an emergency, public safety may be compromised and lives could be at risk. We would like to see an access road around the entire rear perimeter of the project with both ends leading out to Bascom Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then it'd be time for the applicant. And perhaps, Rosen, can you help me on that one? Or Councilmember Foley, do you happen to know if the applicant has their blue hand raised at this time?
Take a
You're actually muted, Councilmember Foley or Rosalind.
whoops. Paul Button is there, and I see his hand raised.
Okay, Paul, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Paul Button, the applicant for the project. Pleased to bring this project to the city of San Jose after a couple of successful projects previously in the city, including the Thornton Way project that was approved by the city and constructed a few years ago, the San Jose project. Also the 505 South Market project, the BCA Architect project. Our project has met all the conditions placed on us by the city of San Jose, and upon completion of the construction documents, we will be compliant with all the building codes at the time before we pull our building permit. So we're looking forward to bringing this project to the city of San Jose, and we support staff recommendation without exception and remain available for questions of council. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's hear from other members of the community now. Please forgive me if I mispronounce your name, but I believe it's Sukarak. Welcome.
Hi, this is Ken Sukahara. I'm
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, council members and mayor. This planning commission approval we thought was made with standard review by the fire inspectors. If you think about the variance application, it highlights, if you review this, it highlights really some shortcomings of the site and the proposed solutions. They are considered approved with respect to normal occupants. I think one thing that the council should take into close consideration, this is a 3-story, 83 unit, 92 bed elderly care facility as on the application. Housed by seniors, many of whom may be in walkers, wheelchairs, canes, possibly memory impaired. You know, in an emergency situation like a fire, these occupants cannot be expected to maneuver themselves to the exit stairs and even follow instructions at times. There's only one elevator, one passenger elevator serving this, and serving 4 floors, including the basement, which wasn't brought up earlier. The basement is mainly for parking, but there are some storage units there. So I know in a fire you don't use elevators, but I mean, can you imagine one of your mothers or fathers trying to maneuver stairs during a fire when they're relying on walkers or whatever else? So this is a huge potential liability. We think that the city should really consider more the type of occupants, not only just normal occupants, as well as a circular fire access road, which is severely going to bother the fire equipment getting to the back of the property, which is over 300 feet deep from the Bascom, double what is required by the standards. So even with all the variance applications, it's a problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Paul Soto?
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. The issue that I take with this project is that I went to the one that was held at Hayes Mansion with regard to the project that's going in Jimenez's district, right there on Blossom Hill. And there was, the kind of vitriolic language that was used. I mean, these seniors were drug addicts. The seniors are going to be dealing dope in the front. You know, they were going to be peddling their Xanax in their pills, you know, right there up front. I mean, it's just, these things are like, they exemplify the kind of disparities where some kind of housing project or some kind of project is going to go into one particular area, especially Dry Creek Road, we all know what time it is there. Okay, in that particular area, the language and the compassion and the necessity for compassion to compel compassion, oh, it's existing. It's right there on the surface. But when you start going to districts like Jimenez or Esparza or Carrascos or Arenas, all of a sudden it's different. All of a sudden the language is different. All of a sudden the kinds of concepts that are taken at face value that the council considers is automatically accepted on face value because these people are saying it. But if something is considered in Dry Creek Road, then now there has to be a different kind of approach to it by virtue of the fact that it exists in Dry Creek Road. And we all know how that area was established. So that's why the racial equity lens in terms of when we do and what we do and how we do and who we do it with, that's why it's so critically important. Is because that lens is not being applied to all of these different situations. And you can hear it in the voices of the citizens when they come on to these public forums to air their grievances or their acceptance of any kind of project. Thank you.
Thank you. The person with the calling user 3. Your vice person. Welcome.
Hello.
Yes, we can
Hello,
hear you.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, these projects where you try to cram a large building in where there's no way it's going to fit. There's no way that is going to be conducive to the other businesses around there. And it's the same with the senior care home they put at Branham and Alameda Expressway next to the Jack in the Box. The traffic going in and out of there is going to be terrible. The construction noise for the residents over there on Bascom. It's not on Dry Creek, by the way. The caller before thought it was on Dry Creek. It's on Bascom Avenue between Chez Savon Cambodian Restaurant and West Marine, where the owner just called up a little while ago. They want to cram this massive center or a senior center in there. You're going to have emergency vehicles get in and out of there. There's going to be traffic. To get in and out of there on Bascom's going to be a disaster. I just don't see it. The space, it's not big enough. There's got to be another parcel of property that they could do this on that would be less of a nuisance to the local neighborhood. And I don't live over there, but I have to drive down Bascom a lot. And I don't want to have a bunch of cars going in and out of there and ambulances and fire engines because you know what's going to happen. Unfortunately, these older people, they get sick, they get ill. The ambulance has to take them away 24 hours a day. It's not going to work. Try to find another parcel of property because if anyone listening, go look at the senior center that they built at next to the Jack in the Box on Branham and Alameda Expressway. It doesn't even fit it's too close to the road, by the way, too, which is a hazard. They lied when they built that, when they gave the plan. It's too close. And I mean, I'll tell you what, if I was old, I'd hate to be put in any of these places right next to a major expressway behind a McDonald's.
Thank you. Donna DiLoretto.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members, Director Huey, and staff, including Angela Wong and including the developer, Paul Bunton. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. My issue is rather focused, and I've heard a lot of what's gone on in the past couple of hours, and I appreciate the patience that the council members have shown to all of these arguments. My argument is rather specific in that we need the 25-foot setback to regulate a fire lane, as has been described by Ken Takahashira. And I believe it is relevant and specific. Councilmember Pam Foley, I appreciate the opportunity to have met with you in this office on this subject, among others, many of which have already been dealt with. However, this issue regarding the 25-foot setback to accommodate a fire lane has not been previously addressed. And for all of the reasons that I have communicated to Ray Simpson and have not gotten an adequate response back from the fire department for a variance on this subject, that we have an issue here with respect to being able to evacuate from the third story without an elevator, mobility impaired, elderly assisted care patients that need assistance should there be a situation. This is exacerbated by everything that has been said before. And I want to amplify, as a 31-year resident on the north edge of this property, that we need assistance and consideration in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Hedges?
Good afternoon, Mayor Liccardo and the council. I don't know how feasible it is to evacuate a multi-story building with people who are mobility impaired either. I know most evacuation plans simply say to take the people to the fire exit and wait for help. And I don't know if that would be a good idea with the whole building's worth of people who have mobility impairments. What I'd really like to speak to, there was a previous caller who said that there was some kind of racism or something going on, that the I forget the name of the project, the one that had a meeting at the Hayes Mansion. People are saying, well, the seniors in that district are going to be selling drugs and making trouble and stuff. The problem, he's hiring two different populations. The people who are going to be in a medical assisted care facility are different than people who are being placed from, into as permanent supportive housing as part of Housing First, Project Welcome Home, whatever you want to call it. Those people will have friends from the street who are going to be hanging around the project and making trouble. So they need to prepare to have security to address those problems. Fred, who said his apartment of fire in my building, was a senior and was white and kept very bad company. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nora Nissan?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I really, I chimed in at the last minute because these arguments are so compelling. I live on Dry Creek Road, and we had numerous meetings with the developer, and I thought that the developer understood that we wanted to funnel everything onto Bascom, since it was a commercial property that was intruding on a nice, long-term, sleepy residential neighborhood that's been established here for years. And now this access through, we just want to leave Dry Creek alone. And now that I hear Brett's and John's arguments about the fire lanes and the easement size, the easement width, these are actual hazards. And it's very, very compelling. And I really hope that the council just haven't made up their minds already studying the statute, this proposal, and just rubber stamps everything, which is my experience with previous council meetings. Like, the public saying anything doesn't really matter. It's just token. And I really hope that this time you really listen to us, or even come to Dry Creek and see what you're actually doing, instead of being in your office, barred from, sheltered from the real world, and seeing what's actually happening here. I understand you want to urbanize Campbell and put more housing in, but this is just too intrusive. And just please consider this. Put a pin in it and investigate further, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Garnetta Annabelle? Garnetta, your device appears to be muted right now. If you could unmute your device, we'll be able to hear you. Garnetta, we're still not able to hear you. Your device appears to be muted. If you could press the mute button. There you go.
Now
All right.
Yeah,
So
thank-
first, I'd like to congratulate you and the council on the passage of SB 940. And as San Jose builds up rather than out, the interface with existing residential neighborhoods is significant to those of us who live in these neighborhoods that have been our home for, as John said, 30 plus years. We're asking that you grant the appeal, and it is based upon the 26-foot fire access road. We brought this to the attention of the developer back in July 2019, and Pam has had the courtesy to meet with us regarding it. As we've seen over the past 2 years, fire is not something that you can come back and remedy after it strikes. Dry Creek residences are all wood structures. They have large, older trees, mature trees. So having that access, if there's a fire in the facility or at the restaurant that's on the south side of it, that comes and affects the facility, having the access road is critical to the safety of the residents of the coming building and also to the greater neighborhood. So we ask that you would grant the appeal and ask the developer to go back to the drawing board now versus if they see a problem later on, as mentioned in the planning department's memo on page 4. So we'd like it fixed before they proceed versus if they have a problem down the line. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's return to council. Councilmember Foley.
Thank you. And thank you to the community members who spoke. I am familiar with the Dry Creek, Bascom Avenue area. I've been there several times, looked at the property many times, and have been to the community meetings. I want to thank all of the community members who have participated in those community meetings and gained valuable information from them. I also want to thank the staff, Rosalind in particular, and your staff for putting together a thoughtful analysis of the project. I want to assure the callers that there is no rubber stamping occurring by this city council. I've never seen the city council rubber stamp anything. We're very thoughtful about the approaches we make, and I'm sure the comments made today have some of the council members pondering the outcome as it has me pondering the outcome, and that's why I actually have a few questions. There were several community meetings, and I have met, as mentioned before, by the community separately with community members to discuss some of the issues. The developer has cut back on the project. Initially, it was 4 stories. Now it's 3. The setbacks have been taken into consideration. And this is senior housing. It's memory care and assisted living. And as the daughter of a mother who died in assisted living. Well, she didn't die in assisted living. She was living in assisted living when she passed away. I'm very aware of access and concerns for elderly being able to move around quickly or easily in the case of a fire. So I have some questions, Rosalind. The appellant's appeal seems very well thought out and of concern. So can you assure me as to why did the fire department approve a variance, and how difficult will it be for a fire engine to navigate around that property? But more importantly, more likely you're going to have an ambulance coming in than you are a fire engine. But can you give me some background as to the thought of the fire department and the approval there?
Certainly, council member. So typically the fire department would require a 20 to 26 foot wide fire access road around the perimeter of the building. However, applicants can take advantage of design features that would also ensure safety for the residents. So the features that the fire department did review for this project include greater density of fire sprinklers, standpipes, a smoke ventilator, and actually installation of a new fire hydrant off of Dry Creek Road. So with these enhanced design features, the fire department determined that the width of that access road could be reduced. In addition, because I know that this is very important to the residents and also would be important to the future residents of the project, the fire department, before the applicant can pull building permits, the fire department again will re-review these design features to ensure that they are adequate. And this is a condition of approval for the project. It's condition number 32. So before the project can actually pull building permits to construct, the fire department would re-review to ensure that.
So can I ask a little bit about that? So the building permits or plans are submitted to the fire department, and then the fire department then inspects again, and at that point they could say, no, this variance isn't going to work.
They could. So what happens in the process is at the time of building permit application, it's actually made to PBCE, and then we would route the plans to the fire department for their review, and they would have to do that's at the time they would have to do the final sign off before the building permit could be issued.
So what would
well, I think I know where you're going. So
okay.
the reason for that additional check is to make sure that the applicant, when they do submit their drawings, that they do comply with the variance that the fire department previously approved. So it's a checking to make sure that nothing has changed on the plans, that all of the design features that the applicant committed to are in fact included. And if they are, then that's when the applicant would be allowed to move forward and pull the building permit.
Could the fire department come back with additional conditions at that point, even if the plans met the additional or the original use permit?
I think that's likely not to happen because the fire department has already preliminary reviewed these design features and has indicated that they are acceptable. So I can't imagine that the fire department would change their mind on the applicant. It would be only if the applicant, makes any changes that don't conform to what the council is looking at today.
Okay, and based on the fire department's condition number 32, they're satisfied that this property is safe for the residents.
That's correct.
Okay. Another question I have for you regarding the setbacks, the discussion of the setbacks that the residents mentioned. There was question that the setbacks were not adequate. Can you address that?
Yes, I'm not sure exactly if the residents' comment were about the setback from the South Bascom frontage, but as I'm reviewing the staff report, the project is meeting all of the requirements. Again, I know there's concern about that 15-foot wide easement, so perhaps that was the concern, but the project does meet all of the setback requirements.
Okay. All right, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your response to my question. And I have read everything. I have attended all of the community meetings. I've read the review, and I've read the appellant's appeal. And with that, I'm going to move that we approve the conditional use permit with additional modifications and conditions, and that the approval, the appeal be denied.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and please Sam stepped away, so I don't see any other comments on this item. So Tony, let's vote.
Jimenez? Jimenez? Morales?
Yes.
Yep.
Aye.
Roscoe?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Esparza?
Yes.
Arenas?
Yes.
Foley?
Aye.
Camus?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Ricardo's absent.
I'm present. Aye.
And going back to Jimenez? Okay, marking absent. Thank you.
Tony, I said yes earlier. I'm sorry. And then I was trying to unmute, but yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're now at 4:43, so we're going to take up the Independent Police Auditor Year-End Report 4.1 first. We'll have a presentation. I know that it's about 4:45 now. So why don't we go until about 5:15, then we'll take our dinner break until 6 and resume with public testimony at that time.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could, just confirming that we can do the presentation jointly as we have in the past on 4.1 and 4.2.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had consolidated those in the Rules Committee. Yes, thank you. So we'll go to that presentation first. So first, I'll call 4.1 Independent Police Auditor 2019 Year-End Report. 4.2 is the San Jose Police Department Internal Affairs Unit 2019 Department Initiated Investigations Report. All right, Siobhan, welcome.
Yes. Hello, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
I can. Just one moment. Councilmember Esparza, did you want to speak about the process? I saw your hand up.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Siobhan.
And Mayor, can you see my screen?
I can, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to quickly go through the highlights of the 2019 year-end report. Just so everyone knows, this is just calendar year 2019. And in retrospect, 2019 was a pretty tame year, unlike 2020. We'll be reporting on that hopefully sometime in the early spring. This year, our report got delayed for a number of reasons, but overall 2019, the statistics and data were not remarkable. We didn't see any big trends that would somehow set apart this year from prior years. So I'm going to just go through some just basically high-level slides and then take some questions after the department presents its department-initiated complaints. So basically for, I know some members are not as familiar with our office as others. So basically we have 4 missions. We do oversight of police misconduct complaints initiated by civilians. We do outreach to the community. We make recommendations, and hopefully we provide a bridge between the police and the community it serves. Currently we're in auditor form. We don't do any investigations, and we do not have a role in department initiated complaints, although that may change depending on the ballot measure in November 2020. Complaints that come into our office are categorized into different allegations. Unlike, as in past years, the procedure allegations receive the most number of allegations because the procedure manual is pretty large and there are a number of things that go in that manual. So again, as in past years, procedure is number 1 with 42% of allegations deemed procedure. These are complaints received. After the complaints are received, they're logged into a shared database, and Internal Affairs is the entity that does the investigations. The standard by which Internal Affairs deems whether or not an allegation is sustained or not is a preponderance of evidence. That means it just means a slightly more weight or amount of evidence that will lead to their conclusion. So what do? When we get a complaint, oh, let me go here first. So the Internal Affairs Investigation will make a finding on each allegation. And as you can see, most allegations are deemed exonerated. This is the trend in citizen-initiated complaints. It's not necessarily the trend that you will see in department-initiated complaints. Most allegations are closed as exonerated, but it will differ in terms of the different allegations. So for instance, if you look at bias-based policing allegations that you'll see in the report, the vast majority of those are deemed unfounded. So again, a lot depends on what the nature of the allegation is. So we look at 4 things when we're looking at the IA investigation. We're looking at whether it was fair, thorough, complete, and objective. We're going to be looking at classification, the presence or absence of allegations, what supporting evidence is obtained, witnesses, statements. We're looking at what duty manual policies were applied, and we're looking for the presence and absence of the weighing of evidence and the analysis. This year, as in last year's and most years, we pretty much do agree that Internal Affairs does a pretty good job. So most of them are closed at agree at first review, which means on our very first review of that investigation, we're going to close as agreed, meaning with a preponderance standard, not clear and convincing, not a higher standard, but with preponderance of evidence standard, we agree that the investigation was fair, thorough, and complete. With some other cases, we will send back for additional investigation. For some, we'll close with concern or disagree. And again, as in past years, the closes disagree and with concerns is a relatively small number of closed complaints. We make recommendations every year. So sorry, this is the first time I've done share screen. Gosh. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Happy to discuss these further. We made 6 recommendations in this year. Probably the most substantive is to evaluate the field training program. We made recommendations from last year that I know the department has commented on in terms of current status of those recommendations. I think one thing that strikes me is that we had recommended the department make a more robust early warning system to identify potentially problematic officers. And this also dovetails into perhaps identifying who should not be a field training officer. If we had more information to identify problem officers, that might inform then the field training officer program and who gets picked to be a field training officer. Just want to make sure that the council members are aware and those who are tuning in from the public that we do have an interactive survey on our website, and we hope that you will participate. It's a quick 10-minute community survey, and we hope you'll join in. A couple people we'd like to thank are our advisory committee. We currently have these members on our advisory council from a variety of backgrounds and demographics. And then lastly, of course, I'd like to thank my staff, my assistant IPA, Aaron, Eva, Jessica, Talina, and Vivian. And I'm happy to take questions after the department has done their presentation.
Thank you, Siobhan. All right, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and Council, I'm joined today by Acting Assistant Chief Dave Tyndall and IA Commander Lieutenant Stan McFadden. And I'll be brief with my comments. The department has provided the council with a supplemental memo on our responses to this year's IPA report. This is the second year that we've responded in this format. First of all, I'd like to thank the IPA for her work and partnership this past year. We look forward to the continued collaboration. There's several points I feel are worth noting in her report. Number one, there was 216 complaints received in 2019. This is a 13% decrease from 2018 and a 5-year low. Also, the department responded to 399, almost 400,000 calls for service or self-initiated events in 2019, which was a 2,800 increase over 2018. And based on these numbers, conservative estimates show our community contacts are well over 800,000 within the community. And regarding officer-involved shootings, in 2019, we had 4 such events. This is 1 fewer than 2018 and 8 fewer than 2015. As to the auditor's 2019 policy recommendation, the department either agrees or agrees in principle on all 6 recommendations. And we have had ongoing discussions with the IPA regarding those recommendations. And then related to the 2018 recommendations, the only 2 recommendations that continue to be outstanding are the recommendation 1 and 2 that are in the memo. And both of those are in process, and we expect those to be completed shortly. That's what I have for our response to the IPA's report. I can get into the department initiated report quickly here if you'd like.
Sure, why don't we go forward with the DII report?
Okay. So again, thank you. Before I turn the presentation over to Lieutenant Stan McFadden, I just want to quickly remind the council that department-initiated investigations are investigations that are started from within the department. They differ from those that are citizen-initiated complaints that go either to IA or to the IPA. A DII or department-initiated investigations initiated through the Office of the Chief of Police. These allegations often come directly from a department member who initiates an investigation based on specific awareness or belief that department policy, procedure, or potential violation of the law has occurred. When that is brought to the attention of the chief, then that investigation is initiated. So with that, Stan, go ahead and take it. You're muted, Stan. Unmute yourself, buddy.
Thank you, Chief. I want to start by saying thank you to the mayor and council and our community members. We understand that the public trust is a foundation of the community policing. Therefore, we cannot solely rely on conduct complaints that are brought to our attention through the IPA's office or through the complaints that come into IA. The men and women of the department must hold each other accountable. We have to be able to police ourselves, and we do that through our department-initiated investigation process, which I refer to as a process of DII moving forward. While the department distinguishes a public complaint from a DII, a review of both categories gives the department the ability to identify trends and patterns to improve department training and supervision. The department conducted 50 sworn DIIs in 2019 that involved 54 officers. Those complaints included 102 misconduct allegations compared to the 43 sworn DIIs that involved 52 officers in 2018, which included 83 misconduct allegations. The total number of allegations received against sworn staff between 2015 and 2019 fluctuated, with the high being in 2019 of 102. The most common allegation received in 2019 was procedure, followed by conduct unbecoming an officer. I will refer to conduct unbecoming an officer as Kubo moving forward. Of the 102 allegations received in 2019, 71 were procedure allegations and 20 were Kubo allegations. Most of the DIIs involved officers with 0 to 3 years of experience. In 2019, the department completed 52 cases, which contained 117 allegations against 57 officers. Of the 52 cases, 35 of them were sustained. Of the 117 allegations, 72 had a sustained finding. This resulted in a 5-year high of 43 officers receiving discipline in 2019. Between 2015 and 2019, the most common misconduct allegation for sworn department members was procedure and Kubo. Between 2015 and 2019, documented oral counseling was the most common form of discipline imposed for sworn department members. However, in 2019, a letter of reprimand was the most common form of discipline imposed on sworn department members. Just for clarification, a DOC will stay within the IA case file for up to 6 years, whereas a letter of reprimand will become a permanent record in the personnel file. Here's what the data tells us. Our officers with 1 to 3 years experience are most likely to be subjected to a DII. Procedure remains the most common allegation when investigating alleged misconduct. Training and counseling is most often the discipline imposed. The department ensures that officers receive 24 hours of California Peace Officer standards and training every 2-year cycle. Additionally, we have had staff provide roll call and team training to also ensure we are addressing policy concerns and perishable skills training. Our DII process continues to sustain a higher rate than conduct complaints. The department has an overall philosophy of progressive discipline. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything further, Chief?
I'll just add just real quick based off what Stan said is that this is, the department's expected this a little bit. We knew that our numbers were down and we're rebuilding the department. So having a young department, we knew going into this that younger officers sometimes make more mistakes, and we're addressing those issues. And these are things we've talked to the city manager's office about over the last couple years. And additionally, as the department grows, that's how much more important it will be to have and promote new supervisors so that there's supervision over our staff, especially on the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Siobhan, did you have any concluding comments?
Basically, I'd like to just give an overview that I didn't indicate before, in that the format of the report is very different from prior years. We tried to make the report shorter, more visually appealing, and we are looking for feedback not only from council members, but for our community that's tuning in today to let us know how they feel about that format. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I certainly feel it's much more accessible, and I appreciate the use, particularly all the visuals, the charts, and so forth. I think it's very, very helpful. So thank you for your willingness to try a new approach. I think it's so far very successful. All right, we have several members of the community who'd like to speak. So we'll start with the person with the name, using the call-in user 3.
Hello?
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, I really see with this type of disciplinary action just another way to cover up. And I think San Jose Police Department is probably one of the worst departments in the entire nation. June of 2016, 250 officers stood down as Trump supporters were beat down by hooded masked thugs that seemed to come back 4 years later and do the same to San Jose PD, which I thought was funny. But in June of 2016, there was nobody disciplined for dereliction of duty, not protecting people who were peacefully going to see Donald Trump speak. And everyone there, I know you're all probably wincing and, knee jerking all there. You guys are all big Democratic supporters. Good for you. But you, Mr. Liccardo, you had to apologize for what happened. So did Chief Eddie Garcia, who's disappeared. I mean, he might as well be retired now. We're paying him until, December? Disgusting. This town's disgusting. And this police department is disgusting. And you guys need to get your act together and stop trying to revenue people for traffic fines and open containers and jaywalking and all the other crap you do. You wonder why people don't like you. Look, the thugs already don't like the police department, and law-abiding citizens don't like them either, because you guys don't do anything to try to revenue us with your brand new BMW motorcycles giving out traffic tickets. You guys, San Jose PD should be ashamed of themselves. You guys need to have a federal oversight, as far as I'm concerned. And good riddance, Eddie Garcia. I'm just sad to see who's going to take his place. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you on that happy note. Paul Soto. Paul, I think your device, there you go.
Yeah, good evening, Council. Good evening. SB 1421. Until we get to a point where SB 1421 is the policy and it's put on the table, the integrity of the police department is going to constantly be called into question. That is a state law. It was passed by the voters. The voters of this state felt that it was necessary for the population, which the police department receives 100% of their pay from the taxes. We are their employer. And what they are doing is that the police department is taking a paternalistic attitude towards the citizens that they serve. And I have never experienced where the servant tells the master what to do or what he's going to.
Thank you. Mr. Soto, actually, I think you've just cut out. It looks like your device is muted. So if you want to try, oh, it appears it's still muted. Okay, if your device gets back into range, let us know, Paul. Blair Beekman.
Hi, I hope Chief Garcia gets well and can return to the public process soon. For this annual IPA and DII report and review, and with all the work we are going through going to go through in the next few years to ask better questions of what exactly can be issues of defund, demilitarization, reform, and reimagining, a simple thank you to the recent work, thoughts, and ideas from all the people of SF, Oakland, Berkeley, and the people of SF Bay Area towards the ideas of community and policing. These are the long-term good studies and practices that are actually an important part at this time to help relieve the tension across the country at this time, as these are the attempts and ideas of local communities working together towards open democratic practices, and is working to better allow the voice of each individual to help develop the ideas of long-term sustainability, equity, and peace for a community. Some of these more interesting ideas of police defund and reform at this time may have worked through progressive UN constructs at some point, while early COVID-19 relief in California may have initially come from Republican Party sources. It is interesting how the East Bay and Alameda County have turned these ideas into their own, offering good ways how to factor in all points of view in the work towards progressive ideas, values, and principles. Local governments have a certain advantage of information over everyday community where the ideas of defund, demilitarize, reform, and reimagine come from. This shouldn't take away from the years of complaint and important concepts SJ community and local government have been developing for decades now. SJPD whistleblower programs, SJPD peer review programs, a more open review of SJPD data collection practices, and even the ideas of eventually ending body cameras themselves altogether are the more shared ideas of a positive, sustainable community future. All of these are important negotiating ideas on how to relax the DII process for everyone involved there's a certain.
Thank you. Catherine Hedges.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, IPA. I already sent an email with my concerns about the recent behavior of the department. I'm very, very disturbed to read the information that the police department relied on in its response to the Memorial Day protests. All these inflated things about Antifa and, masked invaders and stuff like that. And I'm also very concerned by the previous caller referring to the peaceful protesters as put in masked marauders or whatever the word was he used. We're in shelter in place. We're supposed to be wearing masks. Nobody was wearing hoods. And I very much disagree with that characterization of people like Derek Sanderlin from PACT, the police observers such as Sean Cartwright and all the other, and the teenagers who were peacefully chanting when the police started hitting them with tear gas and the baton projectiles, whatever those are called, rubber bullets. And we don't need to have need to have a police force that treats our citizens as though they're an invading army. We need to have people who protect and serve. And we need to have dispute resolution instead of the court system in most cases. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Paul Soto, I'm sorry you had some problems with the device. You want to give us another shot?
What I wanted to refer to was SB 1421, but the integrity of the police department and police officers know that. You don't move weapons with secrets. Okay, we need to put that out on the table. I've got 30 years of experience with Charlotte Police Department. I've got 30 years experience with County Jail, with Elmwood. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just because I don't like police officers. They are absolutely necessary in order to protect the democracy that we have today, or any semblance of it. So they are absolutely necessary. But what is also a necessary component of policing is that they have a degree of humility to accept their wrongs and their faults, just like they go out to the public. See, the integrity of them being able to enforce the law is predicated upon them being able to have the humility to look at themselves. Without that component of humility for self-examination, what happens is what we have today. A person gets arrested, they get locked up. Within 5 to 10 minutes, the press already has that person's entire background. And it implies that somehow or another that person deserved the treatment that they received from the police department. They're going to do that automatically. We, as the public, don't have access to those records of those police officers that are rogue. They do not belong as officers. They just do not belong in the police department. Number one. Number two is the culture. The culture of the police department is such that it produces Jared Wynn. Jared Wynn is not an independent officer. No, he appeared as a part of a culture that supported that kind of attitude. That's why he was so bold in being able to stand out there like he did, like he was going and he was going to hurt the public. Cussing them out, hey, wait a minute, brother, I'll pay your salary. The police department survives on the taxes of the people. So it is the people that is their employer, not the other way around. Thank you.
Thank you. JT?
To echo what Paul said, silence is consent. The other officers that didn't stop Jared that day are certainly in need of a talking to at the least. So I think it's really easy to boil the ocean, but let's just go for something actionable and short term and something you can actually measure. We keep hearing that the police numbers are too low. Well, let's get a new recruiting team. Let's stop accepting that they can't build the numbers. change out the management, hire a consultant, but we need to stop accepting the excuse of we don't have enough officers. What's actually happening for members of the public that are listening, these officers can make over 100K a year in overtime. So they purposely keep the numbers low so officers can get overtime. And what I think we should do is take away their ability to give us excuses by bringing in a new recruiting team. Because if we do bring a new recruiting team, they're going to have the same excuse. And at that point, we can start taking away the overtime and magically the numbers will increase. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, returning to council. It is now 5:12. So why don't we take our break and we'll come back for council discussion at 6 o'clock after dinner. Thank you all.